Happy belated April Fools. This was actually recorded on April 6th. Wasn't able to get it out by the 1st like I wanted to, but I thought it was important to let you know when it was recorded because Billy Mitchell being taken down from Twin Galaxies, that had not yet happened. So something to keep in mind. But anyway, gotcha, April Fools.
But if you give me just one more chance, I swear I will never lie to you again. Because now I see the destructive power of a lie. They're stronger than truth. I can't believe I ever hurt you. I swear I will never lie to you again. Please, just give me one more chance. I will never lie to you again. I swear. I will never tell a lie. I will never tell a lie. No. No. I promise.
Welcome to yet another episode of Let's Get Podcast, episode 31. It's going to be 31 or something like that. Sanjuichi in Japanese. I don't know why I always say it. I have to say that. Don't know. It's just kind of the thing I do. So I'm your host. My name's Eric. Host of the podcast. Oops. Long man. Suddenly.
Long man.
Okay, that's for later. Sorry, that was my long man commercial. I don't know why I have to pit it. So let's go ahead and just talk about my host here, co-host.
This is Andrew.
All right, there we go. And I'm also joined by Johnny Ketchum,
Hello.
or Ketchup. You may know him as also from Invisible Cat Patrol and Victory Fanfare podcast.
Damn.
Fanfare Victory.
That
I'm like on it. I can't even say the
I
name
know.
right. My bad. I'm just a turd, basically. And we're also joined by Matt, a.k.a. Angry Links. I don't know if
How's
you
it
really
going?
are a.k.a. How's it going? And actually, do you want to plug your stuff? Because probably best you do than I do.
Yeah, sure.
So I can't even get these right.
I'm Angry Lang on Twitch primarily, and that's how everybody on there knows me. And I run old NES games. I have 5 world records in the very first Contra, so
That's awesome.
getting pretty well known in the community in that sense. And it's been a lot of fun. So yeah, you can check me out on there if you ever want to watch old speedruns of Pew, old pew, speedruns pew. of old games.
Cool.
He pew-pews fast.
He pew-pews. Pew-pews. And
What's doing?
also on Runtime, right?
Yeah, runtime with Rick V, who couldn't join us today. I don't know what he's doing, slacking somewhere.
He's like, I just didn't want to be on it.
Yeah, he didn't care.
He was spending time typing up an email, which we will read later.
Ooh,
Actually,
being
beautiful.
I did-
punk rock right now.
he is, man. So punk.
Rick V sounds like a mobster.
A mobster.
He's Ricky V.
He's a real hard ass. Yeah.
You mess with my cousin Ricky V.
You mess with me. Anything? Did I catch all your stuff, Johnny Ketchum?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, cool. Just want to make sure. So we're talking about tonight some stuff, but before we get to that, we're talking about what we've been drinking or what we're drinking tonight. I guess we got to talk about the theme. So the theme of the podcast, this was supposed to be an April Fool's podcast. I've had this idea for 3 years. I've never been able to do it timely, and guess what? We're ultimately doing it. not on time. It's just April Fool's month. But basically because of April Fool's, I was like, what can we do for April Fool's? And I was thinking of, back when I was a kid or when we were kids, I'm sure you guys all experienced this. It was like you're on the playground. It's time to talk about video games. And I would be like, oh yeah, I was doing this in Mario or whatever. And there'd always be some little shit that would just come up with bullshit. And it was like rumors. So I was like, okay, we could talk about like rumors, myths. This shit came up with bullshit. It's a lot of shit. And so, myths, untruths, whatever. So that's kind of the idea of the podcast. Gaming myths from
Things
the playground
you
to the
hear
present.
about games that are not true.
Or maybe true.
Or
Ooh, are they true? You don't know. So that's where the drinking theme comes from tonight. So we started with Magic Hat, which, magic, that shit ain't true. That's deceiving. That's deceiving, So I don't know. We always, it's a stretch every time we do these.
So I think magic is pretty true.
Okay, magic is
You
true.
got Chris Angel.
Yep.
Damn.
It's always debatable, Electric Peel is the flavor we got. It's grapefruit IPA. Next one we got is Winter Warlock. That one is by
Bristol Brewing.
Bristol Brewing. Thank you. But I mean, Warlock, that shit ain't true. Also, I guess supposedly. And then
It's
we
a
have
shitty SNES game.
oh yeah, it is. That's right.
It's an amazing song. I like the music in that game. Sorry.
I remember I rented that because I really wanted to see Warlock. I guess I saw like a little bit of it on a Sunday afternoon movie thing. I wasn't supposed to see it, but there's part where he like seals up this girl's mouth with her own skin.
Oh yeah, I remember
and
that
I was
movie.
like, oh my god, that's horrifying. My mom was like, what are you watching? And then after that, I was like, well, I can't watch it. I might as well play it. And then I was like, oop, this game is more horrifying than the movie because it's bad. Then we got S'more Stout. That is an imperial stout.
That has nothing to do with the
Well,
song.
no, it does, because when do you eat s'mores? You're at the campfire. Why are you at the campfire? You're telling scary stories. Shit ain't true. I gotta, we just want to drink what we want to drink, and we
I
have
think
to
this
make it
episode's
fit.
gonna be titled "Shit Ain't
Shit
True."
ain't true. I don't know why I started saying that, but I can't stop.
I give you credit for fitting that one in.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one's by Great Divide. It's called Yeti, and it doesn't fit the theme because everyone knows they're real.
Yeah, right.
That was gonna be my joke. But no, those are also fake. What? They're like is it Harry and the Hendersons? What are those called?
Yeah.
Sasquatch. Bigfoot. There we go. So yeah, that's our
Oh.
theme.
I have a thing for funny things my kids said. Then.
Well, it ain't time for that yet.
I know, but just remind me about the Sasquatch. when we
Okay.
get there.
All right. Cool. All right, and then Johnny, catch them. What are you drinking?
I thought since we're doing this topic, I would kind of bring it
I'm gonna
back
open
to
one.
my
Open.
childhood, and I got a Not Your Father's Root Beer, alcoholic root
Oh,
beer.
yeah.
I thought maybe you got some Kool-Aid
I
or
should
something.
have.
Just put some
Or
vodka.
Yeah.
Hawaiian Punch.
Yeah, exactly. I got
or
some.
Sunny Delight.
Oh, Sunny. Yeah.
See,
Sunny D.
Sunny
the only
D.
alcohol I have in my house.
Screwdrivers with Sunny
Oh
D.
God, the only alcohol I have in my house is like tequila or like Crown Royal. So, yeah, I didn't.
You could do Sunny D and tequila.
Yeah, that's true. It wouldn't be the greatest drink. It would be way too
Sunny D
sweet.
screwdrivers.
Oh.
That actually kind of sounds amazing.
Sunny D's nuts. I don't know.
Sunny D's nuts.
I don't know. That's terrible. Cool. Is that all you're drinking?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's good because it's like it's deceiving. It's not really root beer, but you know what? Tastes like root
Yeah,
beer.
it does.
It really does.
It's not your father's root beer because you bought it.
Yeah. But what if your dad bought it? I don't know. What are you drinking, Matt?
So I had a bowl of cinnamon life earlier, but
Ooh.
I drank the
Ooh.
milk that was left.
Ooh,
Nice.
that's delicious.
Cinnamon life milk.
Shit ain't real.
Shit is real.
That's not
Shit's
fucking
too real.
I just coined it as real. But
I actually
don't know.
I love Life cereal, but for some reason it always gives me the runs. I have no idea. why. Yeah, I'm not. I really wish this was a joke. I honestly I love to eat it, and then I'm like, ooh, something's not good. I was talking about this recently. I probably shouldn't have because I'm really weird. But I love the leftover milk when you have certain cereals. My favorite is Golden Crisp. The
Yeah.
bear.
They should just
the bear
sell
milk.
milk that tastes.
No,
like
seriously, it's so
cereal
good.
milk.
When you get to the end
No, I have to agree.
of a bowl of Golden
Oh,
Crisp,
sure.
I think it's the kamut or whatever is in it. I don't know. Puffed wheat, whatever. I thought it was kamut. I don't know what it is. Something about that. When you are done drinking that, I love it. And when I pee later, it smells exactly the same. and one of the best I don't know, this is super weird, but I had Golden Crisp and I had coffee, and I'm sure you've all probably experienced this. I mean, when I drink coffee, I smell coffee when I pee. And then I had the Golden Crisp milk and a coffee, and I peed, and I wanted to drink it. I didn't, but if someone even jokingly dared me, I'd probably try it. That's how good it smells.
Wow.
Well,
What were you going to say, Andrew?
Not that.
Anyway.
Well, yeah, you got to relate to people,
Yeah, they were
And
like,
then- and
totally.
then
That's
when
highly
they relayed
relatable.
the story. They're like, Eric drinks his pee.
Pretty much, yeah. If you just distill that down to the truth, it's just he drinks his
Eric
pee.
thinks
I have
he
never
drinks
drank my
coffee. I don't know.
I don't know. I guess I could get on a whole thing about pee, but let's not do that. Matt, you were going to say something about the older.
Yeah, I mean this is not nearly as stellar as what you just said. But,
No, it's not good.
I had some crunch berries, right? And I had the milk left over, and then I poured some Fruit Loops into that.
Oh,
That was fucking baller. Like I
Mixing.
recommend it. You got to have some Fruit Loops with crunch berry milk. It just changes your life.
I think if they were to sell that milk on the shelf, it would
Yeah.
just be like diabetes milk.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it would sell.
This milk will kill you.
It'd be next to the coffee and Golden Grams piss milk.
This is me going over and sneaking. Like I got like a black cloak on. I'm like, and grab the milk. Okay, weird. No, I mean I hear that your pee is actually whatchamacallit. It won't hurt you to drink your pee.
Pee is sterile.
Isn't that just called piss?
Well, that's another funny things my kid said.
Well, okay,
remind
right.
me about piss milk.
Okay, I kind of really am interested to get to that. Are you drinking anything right now, Matt?
Just some water in a mason
Cool.
jar. I'm pretty bland.
But it's
At
in a
least
mason jar, so that's
jar,
kinda
yeah.
cool.
That's-
Yeah, that's the cool flavor.
You don't use any boring glassware.
As long as it wasn't the
No.
one you were storing your piss in before the mason.
Yeah, no.
They say your pee is sterile. So if you drink it, as long as you don't have some kind of infection, you'll be okay. I'm not saying I'm want to do it.
It's
God.
only for desperate.
Okay, anyway.
I don't know. I'm starting to believe you might. But
It's the,
Let's move on.
it's the unless you have some kind of infection part you need to worry about.
Yeah,
right?
which I'm certain I don't.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what you been eating? So I just got back from Portland and Seattle, and when I was in Oregon, I got really freaking sick the night that I had this dish. It was clam chowder, and it actually had like little clams in it, like little open clams, tiny.
Did you
And
throw up a little red ball?
Oh shit! Ball legs. No, I was eating it and it tasted good, and then immediately after dinner I was really sick, and then I was just sick the rest of the time. I was like, I associate it with the clam chowder, but I'm sure that that's probably not what got me sick. But the clam chowder was really good. The end. What have you been drinking, Andrew, or eating?
Come back to me.
Okay, you always
Let me think about it. Yeah.
Okay, Johnny.
I didn't prepare for this part.
What have I been eating? I've been eating really terribly since the last time we spoke. Pretty much just like on a junk food diet. Oh, it sucks. Last thing, I guess, In-N-Out. In-N-Out's always a thing.
It describes what it does.
Yeah,
Yep.
it really
It goes
does.
in
Oh man,
and it goes out.
I actually had my first terrible In-N-Out experience, which
No.
I never had. So definitely not
Oh.
feeling it.
We do not have In-N-Out.
No.
Yeah, we just wish that we could have a bad experience.
Soon,
How do you feel about
soon,
that?
Guys, soon.
Yeah, I know,
California
it is coming.
invading Colorado so hard.
Yeah,
There actually is. I think they are building some
Yeah.
In-N-Outs.
Finally, after like years.
I don't know. We were walking around touching gross stuff because it's Vegas, so our hands are gross. And she usually has some kind of disinfectant stuff. What the hell is that called? Like alcohol rub or shit for your hands. I know I couldn't think of the word.
sanitizer.
Hand sanitizer. That's the word I was thinking. Thank you. And so I was like, hey, baby, you have any of this? She's like, yeah, sure. And she gives it to me. I start rubbing it on my hands. I'm like, smell it. What the hell is this? And she's like, oh, it's pumpkin. That is the grossest thing I've ever seen. I mean, it was kind of like a half melted, shitty,
Yeah.
dusty candle. Is kind of what it smelled like. And it was just bad because every time I picked the burger up to put it up to mouth, it was like, I don't know. It's like you put a candle on your heater that you haven't turned
Yeah.
on all year. And then you're turning it on for the first time and it's that
Yeah.
burny dust smell.
It's gross.
Oh,
And that's what it
yeah.
smelled like. It just ruined my burger. And I told her basically, like, if you move in someday, you're not allowed to have that. You can't have those candles because she has candles that are the
Ooh.
same scent.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's just so funk. We have to be able to agree on smells. Cause
Smells
man,
are a huge thing
Anyway.
in the household.
yeah.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
I mean, it ruins the food. It's
Krista
like they're
had this
super connected.
perfume
Anyway,
that just destroyed me every time. She felt so bad because she got it before we lived together, and then once we lived together, it was just like, I'm sorry, but whatever that smell, that
gotta
smell
use
is
it.
just so awful.
Yeah.
Like, please, like it's too strong. Now she does. She's obsessed with what's it called?
That stuff.
Dry shampoo, which smells like shit. Yeah, so you
Dry
just
shampoo.
spray. It's like a hairspray basically, and it just cleans your hair for you, or it just makes it seem like your hair is clean.
Perfect.
I can picture it's like a cardboard box. It's a shampoo. It's an instant smash potatoes, and you just
Mashed potatoes.
you heard what I said.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's
Yeah.
real. All right, let's move on. Cool. What you been eating, Matt?
Oh man, so I work at a hospital. Like Rick and I work in the same building actually.
Ah.
But he's smart. He's vegetarian and he doesn't eat shitty food like I do. I've been eating biscuits and gravy every goddamn morning, and then having a bacon cheeseburger every day for months because I hate the fucking food there so much.
Oh yeah.
But I just realized this whole week that's all I've had is biscuits and gravy and bacon cheeseburger every fucking day. I'm gonna die.
Well, hold on. You just told us that you ate cereal with Crunch Berries and then Fruit Loops.
Shit ain't real.
So you at least got your fruits.
Yeah,
and
somewhere.
veggies?
There you go.
I got something healthy in there. Yeah, it's not
Part of
sugar-filled
it.
milk.
Oh yeah.
Part of a complete breakfast, you know.
So yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm 33 years old and I have my shit together. That's what we learned to.
All right, I thought of one.
What'd you think?
I don't know if like there was a memo or I've had my eyes and didn't notice that like every restaurant in the world all of a sudden has buffalo cauliflower as an appetizer. Is that like just a new thing that like one place got and then everyone else was
I
like,
think
oh, this shit's easy to
vegetarians
make?
kind of invaded.
Pretty
We're
much.
just like, oh yeah, like this is a good substitute, and it's not.
I don't care because
it is.
fucking
It really
delicious.
is.
Yeah, it is good.
It's so good.
I've never had this.
I've had like 3 different restaurants that have had buffalo cauliflower as an appetizer, and like now I have to have it because it's so good. And they all make it different. Like some of them actually like bread it and fry it, and then like some of them just like soak cauliflower in like buffalo sauce.
Yeah.
But it's really tasty.
I mean, the lesson to learn here is buffalo sauce
It
just
really
makes shit
does.
taste good. You can put it on anything.
Yeah, I actually don't like cauliflower normally. I mean, it's just so bland. But like with buffalo sauce,
It really
it's magical.
Hmm.
You know what's not good?
Uh-oh.
This fucking s'mores beer.
You
Really
don't like
gross.
it?
No.
You know, that was kind of my thought process with getting the root beer. It's like, I'm going to get sick of this after like 3. Like, I think that's my limit. Can't do more than 3. It's going to be too sweet. Yeah.
That's true. It's so sweet. Yeah.
No, I don't like this beer.
Ah, man, we were just agreeing that we liked it.
You want
Silently.
mine? You want me to
I
just
guess.
top
Are you
you
going to
off,
get
or-
me sick?
There's this restaurant, or well, I say that. There's this barcade by my place called Button Mash. They have a lot of Asian food.
Butt mash.
And,
Butt mash.
And really good burgers. But they have an orange cauliflower, and it just tastes like orange chicken. Every single time my girlfriend gets it, I'm like, yeah, it's amazing.
That sounds good.
It's a really good restaurant. Like, for being mostly a barcade, it's a really good restaurant, too.
You know, I
Sounds like a
think,
good place to go.
yeah. I tried living as a vegan for a week.
Oh, you
Shit
need
was way
cheese.
too hard. Yeah, you need stuff. There's a lot of stuff. Like, I actually went to the store and I was like, okay, I mean, I made a list. I was really careful. And then when I got there, I'm like, okay, I got to get this cereal. Oh, shit, I can't have this cereal. It's got honey. Like, everything has a touch of honey on it. So you can't even get that. I'm like, oh, man, this shit's hard. So I did it for a week and I had no energy. And I was like, you know, as a vegetarian, I think I could make it. But I'd want to be pescatarian, so you could have fish. Yeah, I'd be okay with that. Or is it pescatarian means you drink your okay, just kidding. Okay.
Only if it smells like coffee.
Exactly.
Golden
Yeah,
Eggs.
I gotta get off of that. People are gonna think I'm really into pea stuff. Eric
Dude,
likes golden
I
showers.
heard there was
I
an
heard, I
Eric
don't
P
know.
tape
Anyway.
out there.
Pea tapes. Pea tape. Shit ain't real.
Shit ain't real.
As long as you're not forcing it on anybody, you know, it's all good, man.
Yeah, that's
Whatever
right.
you're into.
Gonna pee on you, drip, drip, drip. All right. Okay, let's get off of that. I'm sorry. Well, wait, that's probably a bad choice of words.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
What you been playing lately? So I've been playing Shadow of the Colossus with my boy on the other end here. Johnny Ketchup and I have played that for Victory Fanfare. So I'm not going to talk about it because you can hear that on the episode we just recorded last night. And it's out by the time you're listening to it. I'm just calling it.
It's a good game.
It's a great game. Yeah, everyone knows. And yeah, this is the 2018 PS4 version, I should mention. So yeah. What you been playing, Andrew?
So I mentioned last time that I think at the time, Fortnite was still really new. And so everyone's like, what's this?
Yeah.
And now it's like the hottest shit
game
that has ever been played.
Right.
Because it's so good.
I gotta
Sounds
play it.
fun.
So yeah, I'm still playing that obsessively. For as much as I play it, I should be a lot better at it than I am, which is really, really depressing. Like, I just looked at my stats today, and I have like 830 some solo matches. 0
Yeah,
wins.
I have no
Dang.
Still won a match.
Wow. And you're still enjoying it.
Although last night I got a squad win
Nice.
by myself.
Oh.
My squad died right at the beginning. I was the only one left, and I held on to the very end and won it
That's
with the guided
rad.
missile.
Squad.
Sweet. So that That was badass.
Clutched it.
It was actually like I was
That's
quite
awesome.
proud of that. I just wish I could. Like I have gotten second and third so many times. Like I probably have 20 second places. It's ridiculous. I cannot win. It's just I don't know if it's a mental block at this point. But anyway, so still playing that.
So there's a lot
It's
that
a
you're
lot
still
of
playing.
fun.
This.
Yeah, I'm still playing
I completely dropped Friday
It
the
is so
13th
fun.
just to play that because I was like, I mean, I switched groups because I feel like every time I end up in a group, I end up playing with like 13-year-olds. Like when I was playing Friday the 13th, I literally got stuck with like 5 different like 12, 13 to 15-year-old was the oldest kid. And they're like, oh, how old are you, Johnny Ketchum? It's like, yeah, I'm not going to talk about that because I feel very wrong doing this right now.
I'm old.
I feel like when I play random squads in Fortnite, though, the only people that have mics are either incredibly high or like
exactly.
7.
Exactly.
Or both.
No, I'm not. That's not even an exaggeration. I'd say at least 90% of the other players that actually use mics on PS4, it's not as common. Most people don't. But
420 Ranger.
They're either like so ridiculously baked that they are unable to play, or they're little kids. And I'm talking like I play late. Like I'll go to bed at like 12:30, which is like 11:30 Pacific time, and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing up, kid? Because school in the morning.
Because the parents are the baked ones.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, they're also playing.
Anyway, but I can't even believe what's happening.
Hey man, could you just you're really killing the vibe in here? Why don't you go in the other room and play on your Xbox? Okay.
I just can't even believe what's happened with that game, though. Like the way it's blown up in the last month, really, is like really taken off. It's insane.
I gotta check it out.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then athletes are all playing it like in the locker room between innings and shit like that. It's crazy.
A baseball game was postponed today, and 2 guys on opposing teams just did Fortnite celebrations at each other to kind of waste time.
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, like the when the mobile version came out, like schools have to ban it, and like the kids at my kids' elementary school do all the dances from Fortnite. Like all of them know all of them. It's fucking crazy, man. Like at my kids' karate class, they he had to ban flossing. Because like all the kids were flossing in karate, and he's like, "Cut that crap out! It's driving me crazy. Stop flossing."
I've never had a dentist tell me that. What is it?
Well, the dance didn't come from Fortnite, but it's in Fortnite.
It's
so
real popular.
Yeah, and so anyway. So besides that, though, I've also I think last time we talked, the Switch was I don't really have a Switch thing.
Oh, but you have one.
So I've played a lot of Mario Odyssey and Mario Kart, and I have Zelda. I haven't played it yet. And I also picked up, because it was on sale on PSN this week, Human Fall Flat, which is like this stupid little indie game where it's like a physics puzzler where you play like floppy ragdoll guy basically, and like you walk around and like you can grab things and like move them around, and like there's little puzzles where like you even have to you'll stand on top of like a train car and you have to grab the wall and then like walk and like use your feet to like shuffle the train car beneath you and stuff like that. It's just like stupid physics puzzles.
I wish I could record everything visually that Andrew just did. He was like his butt up his chair and everything.
But yeah, it's just stupid fun. So like that game was pretty cool. I'd recommend it.
Cool.
I think that's all I got.
All right. Well, you played a lot more than last time. Yeah. What you been playing, Johnny Ketchum?
As you said, Shadow of the Colossus, and you do know the answer. I've been doing shit tons of mutt challenges. That's all I do. Madden
mutt
Ultimate
challenges.
Team challenges, bruh.
Okay.
Madden. But the show came out, so I'm gonna have to play that soon too. Because actually, I'm more of a baseball fan than anything else. Sports. Boop, 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 boop,
Today was opening day.
They lost.
Oh, really? Well, I saw on the front page of Reddit they had some dude with a mohawk. It's like this perfect mohawk that's for the
funny.
opening
Denver
day.
Post actually in the newspaper posted the wrong for opening day.
They had the ultimate guide to opening day at Coors Field, and they showed a picture of Citizens Bank Park, where the Phillies play.
How do you do that?
Maybe it was April Fools, I guess.
That's because it's a nationally owned, like the conglomerate that owns all these newspapers, and they just print the stories at some central. They paint no fucking attention.
Exactly. I actually know one of the editors. He follows me because he used to be an editor for a small paper in Boulder when Marissa and I were in college, and I wanted to talk shit to him about it. It's like, how do you guys do this? Like, what? Come on.
What you been playing, Matt?
So yeah, I took on learning a new speed game, which I play Contra games a lot. So I decided I wanted to learn Contra 3: The Alien Wars on the Super Nintendo.
Nice.
So I dedicated like the whole month of March to learning the game, and I played it on hard mode, which is fucking awful. I don't know why I did that to myself. Most people start on easy, but yeah, so I've just been dividing my time between Contra 3, and then I've been also trying to improve my world records in the original Contra again a little bit. So
awesome.
But I actually have to take breaks because I hurt my elbow.
Oh shit! Playing drums or playing games? Or?
Playing Contra because of all the mashing. It actually hurts my elbow. Like I pretty much get like a form of tennis elbow. It's like repetitive motion injury, basically.
I could see that. Wow.
Yeah. So I took a month off from that game.
So this is not a speed run, but I saw a crazy video the other day of this guy played through all 3 Dark Souls games
I saw that.
without getting hit.
That's crazy.
Oh, no.
Without getting hit at all.
No hit.
Actually,
hitless run on all 3.
Hitless run. And he played it thus that if he got hit, he had to start back over. And then he ended up
first
doing
game.
He ended up doing it backwards. He actually did 3-2-1 ultimately when he did it. But he did play all 3 consecutively without getting hit.
Actually, the thing I saw was a 35-minute speed run of Bloodborne, which I do not understand. Yeah.
Whoa, that's insane too.
It's like, what the fuck?
People are crazy.
How long did the Dark Souls trilogy run take without getting hit?
I couldn't tell you. I want to say it was something like 20 hours or something, but I don't know that for sure. I don't.
Sounds probably accurate. I mean, geez.
Okay, Google it.
Nice.
Well, while you're Googling it, I guess we'll kind of start talking about it. So the topic is kind of April's Fool's Day. What's up?
You can't be Googling because he's got to tell us about his kids' stories.
Oh, shit. Good call. Okay. Real quick. Any cute shit your kids have said?
What did I tell you to
remember? Number 1, I drink my pee. And number 2, Yeti.
Oh, Yeti. Oh,
pee milk.
So both of these are things my 4-year-old has recently said. And one, like, I don't know. These are probably only funny to me, but I'll tell him anyway.
Say them aloud.
He really likes Plants vs. Zombies. So he plays Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2, like, all the time. And there's 2 different bosses in that mode. One is the Sasquatch, and one is the Sasquash, which is a giant pumpkin. And we were just driving, like, I was just taking him to preschool the other day, and he just randomly out of nowhere, he goes, Sasquatch is hard to say. Sasquatch is not hard to say.
Because he said it.
Yeah. So there's that. And then the other one was my 10-year-old. I feel like at 10 you should know better. He goes, the other day, he goes, cows basically pee milk. I'm like, no, that's not pee. It's different.
Sort of. So that kind of reminded me of 2 things.
He was sitting there like thinking. I could tell
like
he was
gears
like
were grinding
something over in his mind. Yeah, and then he's just like, cows basically pee milk.
I'm drinking their pee with my cereal.
Oh man,
Eric would probably be down with that. That reminded me of 2 things. Like I did this Quirk mini review for Yokoi Kids, and during that I accidentally I did my voice. I did the whole thing in a half a night. It's fucking crazy. It's unprecedented. I've never done that. Anyway, when I recorded my voiceover, I was like really quick, and I was supposed to say his name was what was his name? It was Satch the Squash or something like that. I can't remember. Something like that. And I ended up saying Sash the Squatch.
Sash the Squash.
Like Sash the Squash. Like it was kind of like Sasquatch is what I ended up saying.
Okay.
So I just showed a picture.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was supposed to be a squash. And since I fucked up, I was like, whatever, it sounds like Sasquatch. Just throw this picture in here. And then when you mentioned the thing about the cows peeing, when I was like 2 years old, 3 years old, something, we were driving through, like I freaking grew up in Salida, which is just the middle of nowhere in Colorado. It's a fucking hole. Anyway, we were driving through there and everyone had pulled over because there was these cows on the side of the road. I don't know why that was a thing to look at. But everyone had pulled over and there was all these cows.
Tourists,
so
man.
I guess we were one of we lived there. But we were looking at the cows and I was like, Mom, like really loud, all these people. I'm like, Mom, look how many penises that cow has. It's like back in the car. Let's go.
Oh, that's awesome.
That was little Eric.
He did say that after we were playing 1-2 switch with the cow milk.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So we're talking April's Fool's Day kind of. So we're talking about myths, untruths, whatever things.
Shit you heard that ain't real.
Shit you heard, shit ain't
Shit
real,
ain't
but
real.
it could be real, you know. Playground conversations is kind of what we're starting with, you know, stuff you heard at the swing set. with your friends, classmates, and shoot the bullshit, and then it would turn out there was a bunch of bullshit. Anyway, so I guess I was kind of going to start with everyone's first gaming myth or untruth or something that they remember from back in the playground days. We're going to kind of go to the present, so kind of starting as old as we can remember and then coming forward to the present. I've got one, but does anybody else want to go first?
I'm going to go first because I only have one.
Oh, you're going to fuck mine up.
I'm going to fuck yours up because we've already talked about this. Did anyone else hear rumors about what happens if you jump over the flag in Mario?
Yeah.
Yep.
Super Mario
Minus World?
Oh,
well, see, actually, I was going to bring up Minus World because that was one that, like, when I was a kid, we heard about Minus World, and I'm like, shit ain't real. But it actually is real.
Yeah, it is real.
Well, it was in the magazine, and I spent forever trying to figure that shit out. That was it?
So that was it, yeah.
Okay.
I remember hearing, like, and what anyone specifically said happened,
yeah.
But I do remember hearing things like, oh, if you jump over the flag, you get an extra life.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
That's totally what it was. Because, I mean, like, when you get, it's incremental from 100 to 5,000, and if you went over it, get the one up. It makes sense. So.
Which now
is true.
Yes.
At the time it wasn't. So I mean that is the one that I remember. So you jump over the flag, you could get a one up. And although you could get over it in other games, this was a game where technically you couldn't, but you actually can, it turns out. Crazy shit. So I remember, like, after one kid told me that, I went home and I played the shit out of Mario, trying over and over, and I really just thought that I sucked. But in reality, it's kind of built so that you can't do that, but there are actually places you can do it. I found after doing some research. Like, I remember this back in the day, like this is like 7 years ago or something. Motherfucker Mike from Cinemassacre, Angry Video Game Nerds buddies, Mike Matei. Mm-hmm. He found out in World 1-1, if you like let the green turtle walk off the ledge into the pit, you jump up, and if you jump off the screen, it's as if you're like down at the bottom again, and you smash the turtle. He will appear at the bottom of the screen, and he will walk all the way to the goal. If you jump up again and kind of hit him, you can jump off of that and go over the flagpole. And guess what's on the other side? There ain't shit over there. There's no one up, but you get over, and there's actually like a couple of blocks that are in the way at the very base of the castle. You jump over those, and if you just run right, you'll run right forever until you run out of time. So that's kind of crazy. But it turns out that in actually most levels, 1-1, 1-3, 2-1, 3-1, 3-2, 4-1, 4-3, 5-2, 5-3. Most of those levels, I mean, you can actually use that turtle trick, but in level 3-3, you can actually do it properly. Like, there's one of those pulley things. You remember, like, you jump on one side of the pulley, and if you go all the way to the bottom, it'll snap and you'll fall down. If you can get it up at its maximum height and jump over, you can actually get over that way as well. But like, there's nothing to be. It's basically a glitch. I mean, it wasn't meant to be. Nothing happens. And you'll eventually die. But I remember that was the first one that I came across. Pain in the ass. How about you guys?
I was racking my brain trying to think of one because I just, like, no way that some kids didn't talk shit about something in a game. But I have like no stories from my youth like that. I can't recall a single one.
Yeah, this is the problem. I was thinking about it this afternoon, and it's like, I know there were so many than I wrote down, but I just couldn't remember all of them. And it's like stuff that I kind of wanted to get out of my head because it was really annoying when people did that. Like, I don't know if it was just rumors and people were just like, they really thought this was true, or they're just fucking with you, And I would go home. I was the type to go home.
The thing is, you can never.
Yeah, you couldn't. This is before the internet.
Yeah.
So I mean, a lot of progressing through games was, you could buy guides sometimes, or you would look at Nintendo Power. But other than that, you would kind of rely on other people a little bit for like, hey, how did you get past this? Oh, cool. And then you'd write it down or whatever, or make your map or something. Yeah, I mean, you kind of relied on people, and there was a lot of misinformation. I mean, these was the first trolls.
Yeah, seriously.
People fucking with it.
That's true.
Anyway.
Oh, actually, I do recall one. I don't remember who it was that told me, but in Mario 64, someone told me if you get all the stars, you can get Yoshi and ride Yoshi. But you can't ride the motherfucker.
Yeah,
you just
get
get
right
on him.
Yep.
And then he gets and he hops off into the sunset, and you're just like, well, that was a scam. Like, who the fuck told me that? You're an asshole.
I remember I was so excited when I got all the stars and you could blast yourself on the cap, and I ran into Yoshi. I was just super excited, and then it was like, here's a bunch of extra lives. I was like, oh, is that all? Because I wanted to ride Yoshi. That's what you do.
Yeah, what do the lives even do for you? I mean,
now you can. It's kind of weird, It's like, you've already beaten the game.
Yeah,
what are you going to do with those? Yeah,
and then you gain that ability too, where you triple jump and like you get the sparkles, and you don't get hurt when you hit the ground.
Oh,
but about that. Even still, like, what are you going to do? Just go back to the levels and jump off a tall shit and not die? Like, I don't know.
Right. That's one thing that's always kind of weird for me. Like, and I'm going to talk about one towards the end that is really, I mean, it hurts me. This one freaking hurts.
Oh, no.
But it's like, you know, what do you do when you, I don't know, you do this awesome thing in the game? What has been like a really good payoff? Like that would probably be a better, like a totally other podcast. But like if you think of like Final Fantasy VII, there's those mystical monsters. I can't remember what they're called. There's like 2 or 3 of them that they're out of the way.
Oh, the weapon.
And they're totally side quests you don't have to do.
Like the emerald weapon and all that.
Yes. Yeah. If you fight those, it's like you're already so powerful it hardly matters.
Oh, they're harder to beat than.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And once you beat them, you get this ultra weapon that really makes the stuff that you have going forward so much easier than beating those guys. I mean, I don't know, it's kind of a tricky thing for game designers, I'm sure, to like make these incentives that actually make the game. Ultimately, I just like to make it more fun. I don't want to make it more easy because I just did this really hard thing to make the game more easy.
I actually remember that because I did actually beat all the weapons, and then I beat Sephiroth
me too.
And my little cousin. Yeah, it
easy
literally
at that
took
point.
like 2 hits. 2 hits
Knights
and
of the
he was
round.
done, and it was just like
done. Yeah.
Wow, really? And when I beat it, it's kind of sad because it took me forever because I just took like every single thing I could do in that game I tried to do. So by that point, I was just like, wow, really? This is all I have to do? Like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this all there is?
Disappointing, but
I know what you must be saying to yourselves. If that's the way she feels about it, why doesn't she just end it all? Oh no. Not me. I'm not ready for that final disappointment. 'Cause I know, just as well as I'm standing here talking to you, that when that final moment comes and I'm breathing my last breath, I'll be saying to myself, is that all there is? Is that all there is? If that's all there is, my friends, then let's keep dancing. Let's break out the booze and have a ball. If that's all there is.
You're like Scarface on top, realizing this
it. That's what it's all about, Manny. Eating, drinking, fucking, sucking.
Come on.
Snoring. Then what? Then what? You're 50. You got a bag for a belly. You got tits. You need a bra. They got hair on them. You got a liver. They got spots on it, and you're eating this fucking shit. You're looking like these rich fucking mummies in there.
Oh, it's not so bad. Could be worse, you know.
This what it's all about?
Forget it.
This what I work for? Don't.
Anyway.
So much power.
Yeah. What do I do now? Anyway.
Yeah, the only ones I really could think of from my childhood were getting Mew. Was one, but that one ended up being like, oh, you can do that. But that one Mew and Saving Eris were probably the most like common ones for me in like my years.
Yeah.
Same thing with like I feel like there was something in Metal Gear Solid that people would tell me like, You know how you can take photographs of the ghosts, but they're like the staff of the designers of the game and everything. Somebody once told me, and I'm gonna call him out because I know he does listen to this. So Tony Lopez,
Smith.
you motherfucker, you fucked me so hard because I thought to no end, and I was like the most terrified kid ever. But he told me to take these pictures, and then after I did so, he was like, "Oh, now any game you play, like your memory card's gonna read it, and the game's gonna like those ghosts are gonna pop up in this game." And like I was literally terrified forever thinking about it, just like, "Oh my god, at any moment this ghost is gonna pop up." Like I was a dumb kid.
You're like playing Spyro, like, oh no, it's kind of a happy world. But
I thought about that once. Because, like, my little sister got really into Croc, and she started playing, and I thought, like, oh my god, what if it happens while she's playing? Like, oh, like, so I'd watch her play sometimes, and just like in anticipation, hoping that, like, oh, what if it happens now? Like, oh my god, it'll be so funny. But obviously, yeah, I was
being a jerk.
Oh no,
I was
trying
to look after her.
I mean, we're like 2 years apart, so like we love each other, but you know, it's like, man, you're taking all my shit. But yeah, so
hilarious.
I believed a lot of dumb shit as a kid and was very scared of a lot of dumb shit. I can't think of anything else that really was talked about, at least in grade school.
Rick had mentioned like some people making up passwords for games when I was talking to him one day. I forget the example he gave.
Oh,
do you remember anything like that where somebody would say, like, if you put in this code, you can do this, but it was always sometimes it'd be bullshit.
I do remember some codes like that would that were obviously like bullshit, but I would try them anyways, and nothing happened.
Right.
Or like in the case of like I think it was the original Spider-Man for that Activision came out with on the PS1.
Oh yeah, that game's actually pretty fun.
Eric's computer crashed.
I think I played it on the 64 instead, and then they kept making them, and then so they came out on GameCube as well, which was those were really phenomenal actually.
I remember one that I thought was fake was Holy Shit in Tony Hawk Pro Skater. Like, oh, if you do this grind around the entire course, it just says Holy Shit.
Yeah, that's the first, the very first stage. Yeah, because if you make it all the way around the quarterbacks, it does say that, right?
That was always fun. As soon as I saw that, I was like, oh my god, it's real!
There was always like rumors about like nudity in games and codes like that and stuff. Like this character would be naked, but yeah, I didn't have like a specific game because I couldn't remember them.
It always just kind of devolves into that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Can they be nudes?
Yeah.
Nude Mario, you know.
Dude, Mario.
That's what everybody wanted to see.
Hey man, with Odyssey they kind of got it right.
Oh, that's true. Nips. Yeah, he's got nips. Mario nips.
There was a funny thing kid said while you were here this afternoon. We should rewind and put this back at the beginning. We were playing Splatoon, and one of the other players was named Nipplehead.
Nice.
My 10-year-old goes. He just my 4-year-old was playing at the time. And he just leans over and he's like, "I wonder if Nipplehead's any good."
I don't know. Some people are into that.
Oh my god!
Wow. Did we go through everybody once? Oh, Andrew.
Yeah.
I did the Mario flag one, but
okay.
I could go again if everyone's already gone.
Are you keeping it playground? We're on the playground still.
Yes.
Okay, go.
Well, this is one that actually turned out to be true.
What?
But I remember hearing rumors that there was a code you could put into Metroid to make her naked.
Naked-ish.
Naked-ish. Yeah. And then that's when everyone's like, it's a girl.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
It's a lady?
A girl?
Metroid's a lady?
Oh, yeah.
There's two codes for that, turns out.
Oh, are there?
There's the Justin Bailey code, which will give you lots of power-ups and start you like really far into the game.
And then there's
Nipplehead. No, that's like 4 zeros, 2 0, 6 zeros, 4 zeros, 2 0. If you put that in, then it's strictly aesthetic. You start at the beginning of the game, but you have no suit on. You're just in the swimsuit, like whatever you want to call that.
Oh, okay.
But, so you can legitimately still play the game without, it wouldn't be... Like, if you wanted to submit it as a speed run, you could do that code and it'd be fine because it's purely aesthetic.
Interesting.
Nice.
Yeah. So, yeah, 8-bit nipples, People love it.
That was definitely a big one when I was in elementary school was getting Laura Croft naked.
Yeah. I actually remember hearing that kind of stuff too. Yeah.
Oh man, because that's right. You're young. That was actually elementary school for you.
Yeah, it was.
I'll allow it.
It was weird though too because I feel like the magazine PSN kind of led that kind of stuff on too. Their April Fools.
Well, it was the 90s. Everything had to be all edgy.
Yeah, that's true. Like their April issues always were like, oh, this new nude code, and it was mostly like women, but then a couple times in there, I think there was like a male nude code, like, oh, you can get like Solid Snake naked,
and he is solid.
You can get
rock solid.
You can get Allen Iverson naked and
yeah.
06.
Who's that is?
Allen Iverson?
I don't know. I'm just picking a basketball player from around that time period. I don't know when he played in the 90s, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He played in 99.
Fine. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Okay, now I know that. I know that.
Actually, could unlock Dennis Rodman in the wedding.
That was actually one that I do remember really well, and was Michael Jordan in NBA Jam.
Yeah, actually, like, I remember rumors that there were codes to make characters' heads big and stuff like that, and then those turned out to be true as well. I didn't believe them. I'm like, that's bullshit. But shit ain't real.
Sounds ridiculous.
It was real, yeah.
And Michael Jordan, when that wasn't real, though.
No, apparently there was one single machine in Chicago that had Michael Jordan, and that's awesome. Where it all kind of spawned from.
Shit ain't real.
Shit might be real.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah, it's still unconfirmed to me, so.
Yeah. Oh, then shit ain't real.
The internet knows.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a Bill Clinton code?
Yes, there was a Bill, Hillary. I think you can use Bill, Hillary, Bush, Fresh Prince, and Jazzy. Jazzy.
Wow.
And think of the summers of the past. Adjust the bass and let the Alpine blast. Pop in my CD and let me run a rhyme and put your car on cruise and lay back, cause it's summertime.
Damn.
That's awesome.
That's a solid lineup. That's a good
team. It is.
Does he have a sax? Bill Clinton.
What?
Does he have a sax?
He did. I think he had a saxophone.
No.
Shit ain't real then. Shit ain't real.
Have you seen that M83 like Bill Clinton sax video?
Which one?
I don't think so.
There's an M83 like loop of Bill Clinton just playing sax to this M83 song, and it's amazing. It's so good.
Yeah, I have seen that.
I may have shared it with you before.
It sounds familiar, yeah.
I'm obsessed.
So the NBA Jam Michael Jordan thing, by the way, there are cabinets with it because one of the game's creators put Michael Jordan in the game, and he actually he made some versions of the ROM with him in it, but it apparently never actually distributed.
Interesting.
Yeah, didn't Michael Jordan actually request one?
I don't know.
Okay, I feel like that it was something I've heard, but I don't know either.
I just know he wasn't in games for such a long time because he said he didn't want to be misrepresented somehow.
Yeah, and then they put him in, Space Jam, which is terrible.
Yeah, that's true too. I guess kind of bringing it back to the old school, because, I'm an old fool who's so cool.
I'm taking it back to the old school, because I'm an old fool who's so cool. If you want to get down, I'm going to show you the way. Yeah, it is. Let me hear you say, woo.
I guess I'm talking about playground stuff. So the next one that really involved Mario Brothers, I guess for me, was the next one was being able to get infinite lives or being able to get all these lives just by jumping on the turtle shell. This is one of those that actually ended up being true.
It's
though.
True. Yeah.
I couldn't believe it because it sounded so ridiculous. I don't even know if I tried it. I might have tried it. Nintendo Power did, obviously have their own thing. They confirmed it and everything. And I tried a million times. I couldn't get it to work. And then my parents' friend's kid was fucking crazy good at games, brought it over, was able to do the, infinite jump thing on the stairs, and then proceeded to beat the entire game in like super fast time. And then he busted out this game, Zelda, I had never heard of before. And like he's showing me Zelda, I was like, oh my God, like, you know, going down the stairs and getting the sword and stuff. I was like, what the fuck? These guys are blowing my mind. Turns out all that shit real. So it really shouldn't be in here at all.
Most of this podcast is rumors we heard that turned out to be true.
But I do have someone. I do have some untruth though.
Yeah.
There's a caveat in a shell trick though.
Oh yeah.
If you do it too much, you'll actually kill yourself.
See, I remember hearing that, but then I also is it not based on time?
Well, it is based on time, but if you get too many lives, you'll just game over. Like the game gets triggered in some way. So if you go past a certain cap, then you get killed anyway.
I remember that, but I was like, no, he just must have meant the time. So you actually can get too many lives.
Yeah, so it just turns into those weird symbols. You have to count in your head and stop at a certain point, or you get killed.
Interesting. Okay. So and I mean, like complete game over. Like you don't get to start over. You got to go to the beginning.
No, you have to buy another copy of the game.
Oh shit!
No.
Wow.
Destroys the game.
See, that's the kind of rumors you'd hear.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like your Nintendo would blow up, or, like catch fire or something. You're like, oh shit.
Well, Hideo Kojima had been talking about doing that. Like, oh, I'm going to make a game where if you get killed once, you're just done.
Yeah,
actually,
that's been
Shigeru
done.
Miyamoto kept track of how many lives people were getting, and he would actually come knock on people's doors to collect.
And if you stopped at just the right number, he'd give you a hand job.
Oh my goodness! What? We're starting our own rumors right now. And actually, this is something I asked Andrew when our computer crashed. Have any of you motherfuckers done this shit? Have any of you
started a rumor?
Yes, or perpetuated any rumors?
My whole life's a rumor.
Ooh.
I can't think of any that I may have perpetuated. I can't think of any.
Okay, so you didn't start anything.
I guarantee. I guarantee I heard things and then repeated them.
Yeah, if you didn't know better. But I mean, like if I'm talking about like you intentionally gave misinformation out.
No, I mean like what is this?
I'd like to phone a friend.
Hello.
Oh, hi. Were you guys talking about rumors you might have made up?
Oh, this motherfucker.
This son of a bitch.
Mr. Rick, did you start a rumor?
I heard a rumor that Ricky V was in the mob.
What'd you start?
That's true.
When I was a young man of the age of 8, 9, or 10.
That's young.
I told kids that in Super Mario Brothers 3, I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
No. You have to elaborate.
There's a fourth whistle that if I recall, on the water level, the third level, there's a secret toad house where you find a bomb and you use that bomb on a following level that destroys a wall that you go through a door
and it goes
just like in Mario 3.
Yeah, and it makes the Eric, can I just hear the sound of the noise Link makes when he walks down the stairs again? Very nice. Yeah.
So
that's my calling question, everybody.
I can't believe you did that.
Those dickhead kids on the playground.
Yeah.
Well, I might have only said it once or twice.
Well, then it's okay. Just kidding. You're still dick.
Still dirtbag.
What a dick.
Forever dirtbag Rick.
You're like the original troller. Original troll. OG troll.
That's what they called me.
It's the first time ever, but they still call you're the original troll. Even though you're never been unprecedented.
I did constantly walk around nude with my hair sticking straight up.
Nice.
All right, well I just thought I'd call in. See you guys later.
All right, click.
Bye.
Kind of speaking of people that did shit like that, the next Untruth was kind of also about Smaro Brothers. I was talking with a friend. I thought it was a friend anyway, and I was
asshole.
This is some shit. So it is to me like this is actually kind of fucked up to me. So this kid, I was telling him I was having trouble getting through Super Mario Brothers, and he's like, "Oh man, you could do it." He's like, "I'll tell you what, if you beat Super Mario Brothers, I'll give you some gum or like some candy or something." This was in elementary school, okay? So this was kind of like number one, the best he could do, and number two, kind of like a big deal to me. I was like, okay, cool. So I spent a lot of my time, like I would go home. That was my whole objective at that point. I'm going to beat this game. Guess what I did? I beat the fucking game. So I go back to school. It wasn't even that much later. I asked him, I was like, hey, dude, I finally fucking beat the game. I was like, you said you were going to give me some gum or something? He's like, no. I never said I was going to do that. It's like, what the shit? And
what
this
is Shigeru Miyamoto will come over to your house.
That would be cool. But this was, I mean, that would have been fine. But really, like, honestly, this is so stupid. But like, that was the moment that I started getting cynical and just kind of like, what's real?
What's real, man? What's real? Real always having your own back, boy. Gotta have your back, boy. Nobody got my back like me, man. I'm out to get mine, boy. I'm out to get mine. Yo, I started this on my own. I'll see this through on my own. Continue this alone. Probably best left alone. Cause I've learned life is real. I can't help how I feel. Wish I was made of steel. Haven't quit, never will. But I think to myself, will I make it off the shelf? Born poor, I want some wealth. Maintain mental health. So I sit, getting high. Asking when, asking why. Sleep with my samurai. Ready for any guy. I can't believe this is life. Full of pain, full of strife. Could resort to suicide, but I must live my life. Gotta fight, gotta fend. Know the lick, know the trend. Looks like we're nearly men. Wish we could start.
You know,
shit ain't real.
Like I can't believe people anymore. No, seriously. Like I came home, I was really distraught. I talked to my parents. I was like, this kid told me he was going to do this, and I did what he said to do, and he didn't give me the stuff. And they're like, "Oh, sorry, honey." I'm like, "No, seriously. Like, what the fuck is like the deal?" You know, I didn't say what the fuck, but I was like, "Is the Easter Bunny even real? Is Santa Claus even real?" Like, this kind of like shook me to the core. I was like, actually, like, this really, honestly, it was like the start of my loss of faith in humanity. It was. I'm not fucking around. That really like hurt my feelings. But anyway,
fuck that kid.
I'm sure
shit wasn't real. You know, the gum was a lie. The end.
I hope that kid gets to hear what a piece of shit he is.
I kind of hope he does too.
I hope he fucking
who it was.
He fucked shit up.
You little
me.
shit.
Is this the night of call outs? We're just calling out all.
Yeah, hey.
People are just.
I think
shit.
I looked up to you. I thought you were a funny, cool guy, but fuck you.
Get fucked.
Anyway, the end.
So I want to take a step back for a second because just for a moment you said you would be happy for Shigeru Miyamoto to come and give you a hand job.
Oh, why not?
But at the time you were a child.
That would be a problem. We might not have gotten subsequent sequels.
No,
why do you think Shiggy got into making video games?
Oh my!
Oh no!
Shiggy.
Shiggy Pop.
Shiggy Pop.
Shiggy Pop.
Shiggy Pop.
So messed up, I want you here. In my room, I want you here. Now we're gonna be face to face. And I'll lay right down in my favorite place. And now I wanna be your dog. And now I wanna be your dog. And now
Shiggy, can't you see?
Oh, we're gonna call his name is Shiggy now. We call him Shiggy.
Biggie, can't you see? Sometimes your words just hypnotize me, and I just love your flashy ways. I guess that's why they're broken. You're so fake.
Getting Shiggy with it, Nana.
Getting jiggy with it. Getting jiggy with it. Getting jiggy with it.
We're that close to Shiggy. You know, it's no good.
Next.
Oh.
Who's next?
I got another one.
Okay.
We talked about this briefly earlier. Blowing into your cartridges.
Yeah.
That doesn't actually work.
It does though.
Kind of.
It does, but not for the reason you think
it was.
does.
It doesn't. It's your game isn't working because there's dust.
Yeah.
But blowing into the cartridge
You ain't blowing
increases
dust
the
out.
moisture
Yeah.
on the
Mhm.
contacts, which actually made them work slightly better. And so blowing into the cartridge probably did help in the very short term. But you also were exposing your electronics to moisture, which means that the problem got worse over time, and then you had to blow into them more.
But what you should do is lick the cartridge and skip all that blowing bullshit.
Speaking of licking cartridges, did you
Mm-hmm.
know that DS and Switch cartridges are treated with a bittering agent so that they taste really bad?
Yeah, they
How
taste
do you
like
know
shit.
that? You've tried
They
it?
taste like earwax.
Yeah, they taste
it?
really good.
Earwax.
It's to keep like kids from eating them, like so
What?
they make them taste
Yeah.
really bad.
Okay, I got to tell you another thing. Remember how we were talking about cereal earlier, and now we're talking about earwax. Remember O's?
The cereal
OHS.
tastes like glass.
Yeah.
that shit tastes like earwax.
Yeah,
and
it does.
And I can tell you because I've tasted earwax. I remember as a kid, like every kid ate their boogers. If you say you didn't eat your burgers, you're lying. You ate your burgers, okay?
I
Everyone,
ate cheeseburgers.
No, you ate your burgers. Anyway,
Oh, my
like, I remember having this conversation, like actually when I worked with your wife, we were working at that place. And I remember talking to my coworkers and be like, and I was just fucking around. I was like, have you ever eaten your burgers? And everyone should have said yes. But people were like, no. I'm like, yeah, you did. And people would be, okay, I ate my boogers. Okay, no, you ate your burgers. And then I was like, did you ever try your earwax? And people, then it was like more of a split. Like there was like 50-50. Like, yeah, it was really gross. And I know I did. And that shit was gnarly. And then other people just like, no, why would you do that? I'm like, oh, I don't know. And then I made up a total fucking lie. And it's kind of related to the beginning of this podcast. I was like, remember when you first tried your poo? And they're like, what? And I was like, nah, I was just joking with you guys. Kind of like I actually did, but I was trying to hide it. But I didn't at all. I was just like, no, I was just kidding. And they're like, no, you did. And then my friend Reyes was just like, you fucking did. You ate your own shit. I was like, no, I didn't. I was actually just kidding, man. And I think to this day, he still thinks I ate my shit. But I did not. I did not. Anyway,
I did not.
I did
that
not.
day. I didn't that
hi,
day.
Mark.
I did not hit her. It's not true. It's bullshit. I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark.
Yeah, no, never. But this goes back to O's because O's taste like earwax. The end.
It's all about self-deprecating rumors,
Yeah, that's
Just
okay.
hurt yourself.
Yeah, don't hurt other people. Anyway, the end.
Nice.
Anyone want to talk about any other bodily fluids?
I got one.
No.
So when I was like 5 years old, I lived like in this apartment complex. And there were other kids there that were all just a little bit older than me. And, this was, 1986. So 7-year-old kids were allowed to like ride their bike to 7-Eleven. And so like the neighbor kids were, 7, 8, 9. I mean, I don't know. I was 5, 4. Actually, I was probably young. I was probably 4. So like they were just big kids to me. Right? Yeah. But they told me that they would go to 7-Eleven and buy me a Sprite if I gave them $1 or something. So I like had $1 and I gave it to them. And then they came back with it, and it was piss. They pissed in a 7-Eleven cup and told me it was a new kind of Sprite.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Did you try it?
Up. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
That's really fucked up.
Yeah.
That is super fucked up.
Yeah, it was really shitty.
Damn.
I had that same terrible experience, so I feel your pain.
Did they tell you it was a new kind of Sprite?
No, this kid just like handed me a Capri Sun, but it was like split open, and I was like, why the fuck is it split open? He's like, oh, it's just easier to drink that way, but he just pissed in it.
Oh, that's so messed
so
up.
I took a full fucking gulp of
piss.
this kid's piss out of a little Capri Sun pouch and just spit it out and was just like, what in the fuck? Like I didn't know what it was.
I feel bad for joking about that earlier because I've never tasted piss, and you guys.
I don't remember.
Oh,
I don't. I remember the incident, but I couldn't tell you what piss tastes like.
Fucked up. I have a less serious one, but equally funny. Maybe not equally funny, but I went to a friend of a friend's house, and we were all standing around. We'd been drinking all night long, and there was this bottle. I can't remember. It's like what is SCH? I can't remember. It's like a Polish vodka. I can't remember the name of it. Anyway, there's this bottle of vodka, and it's like brownish. And I'm like, well, what kind of fucking vodka is brown? But whatever.
Like my weird brown margarita tonight?
Yeah. He gets a margarita tonight, and I was like, I was like, is that like strawberry? It's like, no, it's like a regular margarita, but the shit's pink.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
Weird.
So anyway, I see this bottle, and I'm just like, huh, that's kind of weird. But everyone's talking. I don't want to interrupt the conversation. And there's like a desk bell, like a ding bell just sitting there. So what do? I ring it. I go bing, and everyone stops talking. They go, oh shit. Like what? They're like, you rang the bell. Like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, you got to take a shot. Like, oh, okay, that's fine. I'll take a shot. Like, you got to take a shot of this. I'm like, oh, cool. What is it? They're like, it's Polish vodka. I'm like, it's fucking brown. What kind of vodka? They're like, have you ever had Polish vodka? I was like, no. They're like, Polish vodka's brown. I'm like, oh, I'm down. That's cool. So I take a fucking drink of this shit, and they're like, oh my God. And then when I got done drinking it, I'm like, that tastes fucking weird. They're like, ah. So what was that? And they're like, every night at the end of our parties, we collect wounded soldiers of everything in the party, and we dump it into this bottle. So that was a little of everything that people have drank from every party over the past hour. Really gross. I want to think that the alcohol killed it,
Oh yeah, certainly.
But it's it was really gross because they would make like cement mixers and weird shit that was like curdled milky stuff. You know?
Yeah,
it was gross.
Yeah. I actually had something similar to that on my 21st birthday and a cement mixer, and I'm surprised I didn't throw up that night.
Yeah, that's really could push you over the edge. Cement mixer.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh God, so gross.
Sorry, guys.
No. Talking about this reminded me of something really fucked up my best friend did. We used to go to this little arcade across the street from where we lived in San Diego, and we would get really pissed off at the high schoolers because they always just controlled the Marvel vs. Capcom 2 cabinet, and we wanted to play. So
you wanted to take it for a ride.
Yeah, we wanted to take it for a ride. So So one day, my friend Brad, what he does is he brings this big jug of water, and before we get there, he's like, "Hey, hold on, like I gotta go, like let's go to this corner really quick." Just like, okay. He pulls down his pants, proceeds to stick it on his butthole. And farts right into it, and it offers it to every single person at the arcade.
Oh my God!
And every single person drank from the bottle.
Drank his farts.
Yeah.
Okay,
it touched his butthole. I'm pretty confident it touched his butthole.
That's really gross. Ugh.
It was so gross.
Like, I'll drink a fart, but not if the butthole's been on there. Come on. I've got limits, you know?
I'll drink a fart, but not if the butthole's been on there.
Like,
that's the name of the podcast.
Yeah, I don't know if I can fit all that. That's pretty long. I'll drink a fart, but not if a butthole's been on it.
Just in parentheses, but not if a butthole is on it.
It might be a long title. I don't know if might get flagged for that, actually. Like,
no monetizing this one.
I know we're like way off topic now, but you've brought up other thoughts. So like my dad and I, like, you know, farts are funny. So
yeah,
I was at my dad's shop and I was bored. I didn't have a whole lot to do, and I saw an empty coffee can. I'm like, oh, I'm a genius. It's like a single digit year old kid, and I go over and I open the Folgers can. Boop, put it in there and quickly put the plastic lid on. Boom. And I like go over to my dad. I'm like, "Hey, Dad, smell this." And like I crack it open, and he smells it, and he's like, "What?" I was like, "What does it smell like?" He's like, "Coffee." I'm like, I really thought that worked. Like you could capture a fart and it would still smell like a fart. Plus it was like a coffee can. So even if
coffee is pretty overpowering.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Even if there was a fart in there, which I'm sure there wasn't. Anyway, I did that. He was like, "Yeah,
maybe we should talk about video game rumors."
Hey guys, can you want to talk about some? You guys getting way off topic. You got to relax.
Sorry about that.
Sorry.
I can't remember who went last, but I've got some stuff. So I remember a couple of kids in elementary school called me on the phone. Everyone knew I love video games. Like I was always talking about Nintendo, and then when Sega commercials came out, even though I didn't have a Sega Genesis, like they had the Sega or whatever, Sega! I would say that shit all the time. And so people literally called me Sega. Like, wow. I remember I looked back, and like at the end of my yearbook, they're like, "All right, Sega, something." And I didn't even have a Sega. That's just pathetic. But anyway, so I was so Sega. But these kids called me, and remember they like the old yearbooks, I guess they had everyone's phone number in it. I don't know. That's how they had it in my elementary school. Weird. Yeah, it was. And people would just randomly call you or whatever. And they were playing an Atari game. I believe it was Demon Attack, but I remember Demon was in the name of it. But that was actually like Demon Attack is basically like a shooter, like a ripoff of Phoenix. And they were explaining this game in amazing detail that I actually could picture the game. It's like there's this demon that kind of does an evil smile towards the screen, and there's like a tower in the background. You had to get up the tower, and there were all these demons that would fly out of the tower or some shit like that. But that was nothing like the fucking game. So I don't know. It was another one of those things where they like made up a game that I don't think even existed, but I was really into it. I
had a couple of those that really like. I still have games that I think about. I'm like, was that game?
It doesn't even exist. I have one like that too. Yeah. What do you got?
I can't remember the name that my friend gave me, but it was basically a game that you can create your own mech. And pretty much it sounded like Evangelion. Like that's what it sounded like. And I was so stoked and looked everywhere for it. And he was just like, no, like he said it was on Sega because at the time I just had my PlayStation. He was trying to trick me in some way. I knew he was. So
like, God damn it, like trying to find this game and trying to find any little fact about this game that I could. But yeah, I still don't believe it's true. But on the playground, he made fun of me a lot because he was like, well, because, you know, this probably was like I was probably in the 5th grade or something. And I was a really big dork. So we still played imaginary games. So he made me feel really bad because I didn't know about this game. And he was like, well, then you can't create your own mech because you don't know how, like, the pieces that you need and blah, blah, blah. It's like, what the fuck? But his mech somehow had a fucking bunny ears. It's like, what the hell?
Oh, that's like Appleseed.
Yeah, he was a really weird kid.
Or was it Appleseed, or there was another one like that?
I don't know.
Or whatever, Pat Labor. Whatever. Anyway,
the way he described his mech, like to me and my friend who I called out earlier, Tony, it sounded like Jumping Flash.
Oh,
so we were so sure that he was talking about Jumping Flash, and we're like, "What the hell? You can't make your own. Like what? Like what are you talking about?"
What was that RPG? It was a SquareSoft game. I want to say, I know it wasn't Armored Core, but that's the name that keeps coming to mind. But like there was a mech game that they did. It was kind of like a strategy
Front
RPG.
Mission.
Yes, Front Mission. Anyway, that was what I was thinking the whole time you were talking about that. Anyway.
Oh, okay.
Maybe
Yeah,
not that.
Front Mission was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it was.
But like, sorry, on that topic of like game that you think may have existed, didn't exist. This game, I'm like confident. I have vivid memories of this. And if anybody listening can help, that would be awesome. So I remember playing a game at someone's house, like a family or member or something. I don't know who it was. Otherwise I talked to him. It was probably like an Atari game or some kind of computer game or something like that. You were like a ball, not with legs, but you were just a ball. And you would go down through different tubes. So you'd have like a different choices to go down this tube. This is like a zigzag tube. This one's like a loop-de-loop, whatever. You would go down the tube and it would make different noises depending on which one you went down. There were some kind of enemies, but I can't really remember them. But I do remember there's like a curly tube that when you went down, it would play like do 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 do, like, you know, there's a place in France where the naked ladies dance, that kind of sound. And you had eyes. I remember that you had eyeballs, and that's about all I can remember. Does anyone know what game that is?
No, I don't think so. No. Okay. You think it's Atari?
I don't know. I just remember that it was like on a console I didn't have. It could have been some, you know, like an Atari 5200 game I don't know about or whatever. But I know that we were playing it, like, I want to say not on a computer, but like on someone's TV screen. So it was probably one of those console games I just didn't have. I don't know. Anyway, that's all I got.
There was I had a game like that when I was a kid that I like vividly remember playing. It was actually in the same apartment complex where the Sprite piss incident happened. There was like our neighbors had a computer, and like my parents were friends with the neighbors, but they didn't have any kids, so like we'd go over there and like they would just let me play computer games. I don't remember what kind of computer it was. I was too little. And there was like this space shooting game. You played like a little spaceship and you had to fly, and I remember you flew kind of diagonally across the screen. And it was like, the game wasn't 3D, obviously, because it was like 1985, but it was like presented as though it was, you know.
Zaxxon?
So like an isometric view?
See, that's the thing is, I distinctly remember playing it, and then like for the rest of my life, I wanted to know what game that was because I wanted to play it again, and I could never think of what it was called.
Sounds like Zaxxon.
Let me go look at a screenshot of Zaxxon. And then like recently I saw it again, and I'm like, oh, that's the fucking game.
Oh shit.
And then I promptly forgot what it was called again.
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah, that's the worst. Human memory is so frail, which makes this kind of difficult.
Oh,
but
man. Yeah, it really sucks.
Matt, do you have
actually, I think it might have been Zaxxon.
Yeah. Sweet.
Wow.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
The game I couldn't remember that I played as a kid, I ended up figuring out what it was and buying it, but it was Trojan on the NES. I remember like walking and going into sewer holes and fighting these weird armadillo guys. That always stuck with me. And then I didn't find the game again until I was like in my late 20s, and then I was like, oh shit, it's fucking Trojan, man. I loved this game when I was a kid. So I played at my uncle's. I didn't own it, but I never knew what it was called for some reason. I guess I just never paid attention to the title screen. I was just like, oh, I want to play the game with the fucking armadillo.
Yeah. That's such a cool feeling, like when you go back and find, oh shit, this is that thing. Like it's nostalgia and rediscovery, and that's pretty great.
It sucks. You know, there's so many games like that I have that I just cannot remember, and like now it's been so long for me that even trying to think of the vaguest thing about the game is so hard. One I recently rediscovered that I was just like racking my brain on. There was some dumb baseball game that I really, really liked on the Nintendo, and I just couldn't figure out what it was. Recently found out it was Dusty Diamond Baseball, and it's just like all I could remember of it was you just pick these little kids and there's a fucking demon guy, and but it's a baseball game. Having played it somewhat recently. I was like, oh, okay, this game isn't as fun as it was when I was a child, but
That's the other
okay,
thing
cool.
about
I'm
nostalgia,
glad
yeah.
that I had. Yeah, but mostly that happens to me with. I have a couple games like that. I have mostly music and stupid like TV shows or commercials that I remember.
Yeah,
like they actually. I'm sorry to bring it off topic, but there's one commercial. I am. There's one commercial that I always think about still, and I swear it happened. But my sister and I are convinced because we both remember it so well, but we feel like maybe we made it up.
Yeah.
But it's really fucked up too because it was basically a commercial about like child abuse.
Oh no.
But it was like reasoning for like there was just an echo of a kid, and my sister and I used to do this to our parents all the time, like where anytime they said like who did this, who did whatever bad thing, we're like, I didn't do it. Because that's all we remembered. That was what we remembered the most from the commercial was a little kid just being like, I didn't do it. Like,
it's pretty horrible.
I don't know why. It is horrible.
Uh,
And every time I think about it now, I'm like I've talked to Marissa about it. She's like, I don't remember anything like that. Like, that's really fucked up. Like, why is there a commercial like that?
Yeah, that's insane.
Well, especially since he didn't do it. I mean,
yeah, exactly. But he was getting beat for it.
Jeez.
It's like, wow.
Wow,
But
that's messed up. Actually, bringing it back to video games, but kind of along the line of what you're doing. I remember me and my cousins would make up songs for shit that may or may not even be real. We made up our own lyrics for Mystical Ninja Story and Goemon intro, and for example, we were like singing that in Japan. I was trying to find footage of that for my video. Actually, I couldn't. There was a Game Boy Pocket commercials, and we made up like a rap for it. It was like I really wanted a Game Boy Pocket, and my parents, were like, well, you already have a Game Boy, so I wasn't like I was going to get one, but we kind of figured if we could like subliminal, just kind of feed it. Like, and we thought that it was based on a commercial. I don't know if it actually was, but we just had like a dumb rap. It was like a Game Boy fun toy or some shit, like stick it in your pocket. And I was like, it was based off some commercial. And then I found it later on. I was like, this is nothing like the song that we made up. It was like, stick it in your pocket.
Plumbers, rabbits, mazes, monkeys, demons, dragons, evil, jungles, puzzles, barrels, bombs.
Stick it in your pocket. Stick it.
Sweat, swim, run, panic, kick, scream, live. Game Boy Pocket. Stick it in your pocket. Stick it in your pocket. Stick it.
Like, so weird, man. I don't know. Yeah, it's totally our warped ass memories. I think. But I do remember as a kid, like, inventing games that also didn't exist. This was my own creation, I guess. But when Super Mario Brothers 2, like the American version, came out, I remember thinking, this is like the ultimate game. Like, nothing will ever get better than this. And I would picture, like, in the future, when I was older and definitely still playing games, which, that much is true. I'd play Super Mario 47, and it was going to be exactly the same as Super Mario 2, but it would just be like more Phantos everywhere and more Phanto faces and just more shit, really. And, Billy Idol would do the soundtrack because he's from the future. That's it.
Okay, one more along the lines of stuff that I thought was made up but ended up being real.
You did it yourself.
I'm trying to phrase it.
What did you
I'm
think?
kind of buzzed now. There was this game that I thought I imagined that had music from, I'm trying to remember the name of the group. They were like an old
the Cranberries
dance, like techno. No, they were like a techno band from the like 90s or something. Not techno, but like Jock Jam's band. Like those really like
Chumbawamba.
Chumbawamba.
Yeah, well, Chumbawamba was actually like a metal band before.
What? Really?
They were actually like they were actually like a metal punk band before they.
Yeah, I was gonna say I thought they were like a punk band first.
Yeah, they were.
He drinks a vodka drink. He drinks what?
No, but it was this game where like whoever the musician is who made the Mortal Kombat soundtrack or that like din 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 din.
My next rumor is a Mortal Kombat one.
Oh.
Is it? Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I thought like I made up that this game had that band as a soundtrack, and in fact, it is true. That game, there is a game out there. I'm trying to find the name, and I will find it.
Underworld.
No, I'll find it. But basically, it was like just the weirdest thing because this band literally wrote all the music for this game, but it's all just jock jams that you would remember if you heard.
You love Jock Jams Volume 1. Now, ESPN and Tommy Boy Music give you Jock Jams Volume 2. Jock Jams Volume 2. More of the hottest crowd-pumping jams of all time. Jock Jams Volume 2. Available in record stores everywhere.
Extreme. 2 extreme.
Extreme.
3 extreme.
No. It was like a kind of like an R-type game. So it was a space.
It was a shmup.
Game.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'll find it.
Okay.
But go on.
Yeah, you said Metroid, so what you got, Andrew? Or Metroid, what the fuck?
Not Metroid.
You said Mortal Kombat. I've been drinking.
I remember when Mortal Kombat was the shit, and that was what everyone was using their quarters on in the arcade.
I remember that.
There were all kinds of rumors about like hidden characters you can unlock and stuff. And the one that stands out to me, I had to look it up because I couldn't remember the character's name, but there was a rumored hidden character named Ermax that like it's ERMACS that like no one could figure out how to unlock. And I remember like when you like knock the guy, there was one level where you could like uppercut the guy and then like fall down into the spikes, and then like a little guy's head would pop out and be all whoopsie.
Yeah.
Remember that? Yeah. And then,
Yeah.
like there were like I remember Toasty or whatever. Yeah. Toasty. My friends, I don't know if they made this up or if they heard it somewhere, but the rumor that I always heard was him. That was the Ermax character. And then I just Googled it, and it turns out what it was. The reason that rumor happened was that when you booted up the arcade machine, there was like a diagnostic screen you can go into that showed you like how many times people had done certain things. And at the very bottom, like after a list of various like actual hidden characters, there was it said Ermax, and then it would always be like a 0. And it was that was actually shorthand for error macros, and it was like the number of times that the machine had faulted or something like that. Yeah. So, people thought that was some hidden character that no one had ever found. But it just
That's actually really hilarious because they actually made Ermac.
Yeah, later they did. Yes. Yeah.
That's really funny.
I was thinking about Mortal Kombat 2 because, it was really extreme on its own, and this was like unprecedented at the time. It was like the amount of violence and stuff that was in it, and obviously that was like a whole against games, like a big sticking point for parents and people that were against games and shit. I mean, they were so extreme on their own, but people would still make up more extreme rumors about it.
Oh yeah,
those that I can't remember sadly, but I remember people these over the top fatalities.
Like there's the fatality where you like grab his head and you pull it so hard that his butt comes out.
Yeah, and then his butt cheek like lands on the screen, and someone
then
comes
it
out and
poops
says,
on the screen.
Yeah, I mean something. But so there was those, but also I remember like you remember there's like the babalities, right?
Right.
Yeah. And then like
those were rumors, I think, in like one of the games,
and then maybe they made it
later ones. Yeah.
And then there was the friendship and that, and Mortal Kombat 2. But I remember that there were ones like you could actually turn into a beast. For example, Liu Kang would turn into a big dragon and stuff like that.
Yeah, the
right?
animalities.
The beastalities.
Yes, but then that was the rumor, was the beastalities. And then I was like talking like with my mom about it or whatever. She said, honey, I don't think they would do that. Like, why not? It's called bestialities. Like, no, that's no. That's not
It's
the
like
same
when she
thing.
told you not to go douche, douche,
Yeah.
douche, douche.
Yeah, so we were talking about this earlier today because like his kids were like making sound effects, and you know, sound effects are basically you're getting germs anytime a kid does it because they go or like, and I'm like, okay, that's all spit. That whole thing was spit. You spit all over me when you did that. So I was like, when I was a kid, my sound effects were douche, douche, douche. And my mom was like, maybe don't say that, honey, because, you know, I'm like, what? That's like the most powerful sound. Douche, 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 douche. And it like made sense. But then, you know, that's not what that is. Like, what? So, yeah.
I'm just picturing you like going through the grocery store, or, like your mom's at like J.C. Penney picking out new jeans for you, and you're all over there going douche, douche, douche.
We're like in the women's section. I'm just like punching a dress. Douche, 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 douche. Yep, that definitely happened. All right. Anyway, so that was Mortal Kombat. Anybody else on that?
Mortal Kombat.
Or anything
the
like
same, the same kid that made up that game that I don't know is true or not. He told me there was like a sexuality.
Oh, that one makes sense.
Sick.
Oh yeah, I was like, what? Whoa!
What happened?
Little sixth grader.
Yeah, right.
Oh.
What happens is like, well, this is also from my elementary school. Like the woman gets really horny, so her boobs turn square. Like they turn cubes. That's yeah, I know. That was literally something that one of my elementary school like kiddos said. They're like, well, like if a guy gets a boner, what happens with a girl? They get like cube boobs. I thought it was kind of funny.
Oh my god, that shit is funny.
Kid logic is kind of amazing.
Yeah,
it really is.
Well, you know, the world is mysterious. You got to fill in the gaps. You know,
cows basically pee milk.
Yeah, they have so many penises to do it with.
4 dicks.
Oh boy. Sorry.
Oh,
so anybody else want to talk about another one from Kid Times? I got a couple more.
Go ahead. I'll probably remember some.
Cool. Any others, Matt? Well,
I don't know. I can't think of it.
Okay, that's cool. I just don't want to make sure I'm not hogging it.
Yeah,
so I went to a kid's house. He lived like at the end of my block. I'm confident this kid is a serial killer today, proper. Because he actually chased me with a knife on at least one occasion. I'm thinking maybe twice, which was bad on me really at that point. But I remember I was hanging out at his house and he was just a fucking weird kid. But the thing about this kid is he had a Sega Genesis and I didn't. Because I was like, you know, there's like the Nintendo kids and the Sega kids. Actually, he had a Sega Genesis, but he also had Nintendo games I didn't have. So I'd go over to his house. I remember we played this game that I'd never played before, Life Force. And at the end of the first level, there's like that brain with the protruding eye. And even that was for me like, whoa, like my parents wouldn't let me play games like that on purpose. Like,
dude, Sega was edgy as fuck.
Well, this was NES.
Oh, yeah,
but
that
like,
was NES.
you're right though.
Yeah.
But like my uncle actually bought me Legendary Wings without knowing, you know, about it. But you actually go into like when the monster like sucks you in, like the robot face, you know, dark sucks you in. You go inside the bowels of him, and there's like a lot of like really kind of gory shit in that game. Actually, my parents, they didn't know that. Like my parents watching, like, I don't know if you should be playing this, so they didn't like me playing that. They wouldn't want me to play Life Force. But anyway, this kid was telling me like, if you get the machine gun, which I don't know what the machine gun was, but if you get the machine gun, when you blow up the brain, there's just like blood and guts everywhere when it flies on the screen. And I was 10, so we definitely wanted to do this. And we spent hours trying to play this over and over. He's like, no, you got to get the machine gun. And there was like no machine gun. I guess it was like the most rapid fire thing there was, I guess, was the machine gun. And we would try over and over to blow it up and it never worked. And he's like, oh, I think you need to have the turbo controller, which would be like the NES Advantage. That shit didn't work. Shit wasn't real.
Shit ain't real.
So basically,
there's no machine gun in that game. That kid's just completely full of shit.
yeah, he was just full of shit. So we were playing that, and then we just kind of switched to Sonic the Hedgehog because, you know, hey, he had it and I didn't.
Fucking liar.
Fucking liar. Anyway,
Legendary Wings is good.
Legendary Wings, yep. Yeah, it's a good game, but I don't know any rumors about it.
It's co-op.
I can make one up right now.
I've got dreams about it. I could tell you about.
You and I stayed up till like 2 a.m. playing that.
Did
once.
we?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I remember like, okay, this is really weird. I'm going off a totally different thing, but like when I was a kid, one of the happiest dreams I had, like, you know, when you're flying in dreams and stuff, it's like everything's going really well in your life, you know, and you tend to have more of those when you're a kid. And I don't really have flying dreams anymore. It's like falling dreams.
No, it's
shit that's
falling
bad.
or people chasing you.
Yeah, bad things happening, So that says something about your life. But I guess like when I was a kid, I had those dreams, and one of them, the best one that I can remember, was it was like legendary Wings World and Wings World.
Wings World.
Party time, excellent.
Wings World, party time, excellent.
Legendary Wings, and I was like flying on a dragon, and it was like the dragons were bad guys, but in this dream, dragon was good. And I was like flying on this dragon. It was like such a great dream. But later on, I had these fucked up dreams, like fever dream shit, where it's like everything was kind of claymation, and you could see over this hill there was like this house. There's like a apple pie baking on the windowsill or whatever, and then this lady walking by in the kitchen, and this fucked up zombie looking thing in the front, throwing a grenade and blowing up her head, and then it would rewind and then go forward and blow up her head again. And it just kept doing that over and over. And I'm like waking up terrified, trying to scream for my mom and dad, but it's like your screams don't work. Have you ever had that happen where you wake up and you can't scream?
Yeah.
Shit was fucked up. So when eventually
like sleep paralysis?
Yeah. It was like that. And then I went over to my parents' bedroom and I was able to finally talk. I told them what happened. And my mom was like, well, maybe try to find a way to like delete the dream, just like get rid of the dream, So I actually invented it was like construction equipment. It was like the Dream Eater thing. And like in my mind, I'm like lucid dreaming, like I'm going to destroy this dream, and accidentally ended up destroying the awesome Legendary Wings dream. And then it was never as vivid after that.
Oh, no.
It was fucking weird. It was really weird. Anyway.
I used to always have to do that kind of stuff. What I used to actually do to ensure that I could dreams was kind of hum the opening theme to Donkey Kong Country.
Nice.
Until I fell asleep.
Yep. That's
I
awesome.
thought about Muppet Babies.
Oh, yeah.
Is everything all right in here?
Yes, Nanny.
That's awesome.
Making our dreams come true.
Man, we're revealing a lot about ourselves on this episode.
Yeah, seriously.
So basically, there was plenty of popular games that people would make up shit about, and if there was anything people were talking about, people would make up rumors and dumb shit about it. Some of it was based on reality, and some of it was just if it was based on reality, it was like playing telephone, because this is the pre-internet days. I would say something to so-and-so, they would say something to so-and-so, and it would just get more fucked up as it went along, and it never made any sense, But the next game I was really going to talk about in the old days was Mortal Kombat, and so that's really about all I got to say about the playground days. But I mean, before the internet, it was easy to spread misinformation then, but it might be even more easy now on the internet. Although I think it's easier to fact check stuff though.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a double-edged sword, but you can kind of call bullshit if someone says, "Oh yeah, I did this," or "You can do this. Show me the video." You know what I mean? So that's kind of the cool thing about the internet. You can't just bullshit stuff like that. So
if I just Photoshop a nice 6-pack of abs on myself,
yeah,
I'm not going to get away with that.
And see, that's the thing though, because I mean, some of those things and I'm sure you're going to talk about this, because there's a lot of ways to fake shit on the internet. You could Photoshop it. You can, splice frames and editing and stuff. And I was watching a lot of stuff, which I'm sure you want to talk about for sure, especially since being a speedrunner, there's been a lot of controversy recently about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So, I mean, I guess I had, really mostly playground rumors and that kind of stuff. So Rick V had actually said oh, I know who's got a lot to say about recent things that have come out, especially with Twin Galaxies and that kind of stuff. So I will kind of turn it over to you, Matt, about modern stuff, unless you had any other old time stuff.
No, I would gladly get into the newer stuff, because I'm pretty much out of old stories.
Cool.
Unless anybody else has any old stories.
I got no more old stories. You got
no, I'm good.
Cool.
Right.
I'm literally just wasting time.
the biggest one recently, and I don't know if you guys will know this name, but Todd Rogers
He's
So,
such
okay,
a lion prick.
He's the worst.
That fucking
He's
Todd.
awful. His name's Todd. I mean, I don't know.
Can't get
Anyway,
much
No
worse.
good
No
Todd.
one trustworthy is named
Yeah,
Todd.
Todd and the monsters, because he is one of them. I don't know.
Exactly. So yeah, he's one of these types of people that I don't understand how he had any credibility in the first place, just based on the way he
Because
talks.
he had friends at Twins Galaxies.
Yeah, I mean, he's friends with like Billy Mitchell and a lot of those guys. We'll get into that too, because Billy Mitchell is actually a cheating motherfucker as well, it turns out. But Todd Rogers, he's like gives himself all these great like with delusions of grandeur with these nicknames like the king of video games or whatever the fuck he calls himself. He's a self-proclaimed psychic for one. Like, come on. But anyway, so the
Shit
biggest,
fake.
Shit ain't real.
But yeah, so Dragster, I'm sure you've heard of the Atari game Dragster. It's very short. You just shift gears at appropriate times to get the car up to speed and get across the finish line. And his whole claim was that he beat the game. I got to remember the exact seconds.
551, I want to say.
Yeah, 551 precisely. And OmniGamer, I don't know if you know who he is, but he's really well known in the speedrunning community, and he's a really smart guy, and he knows his stuff. And I'm totally going to botch all the terminology. I'm not going to do him justice, but he looked into the game's coding and like figured out mathematically exactly the fastest time possible, period, based on the game's parameters. Not based on just some horseshit claim of human element, but like, so I think it's 557 technically is the fastest time a human can get, if I remember correctly. And he presented all this data and all this information, and then the Twin Galaxy leaderboard just lit up with bullshit. Like everybody involved, like Jace is like the main dude at Twin Galaxies now. He talks in third person, which is fucked up. He's like, well, Jace thinks this and Jace thinks that.
Wow,
and
that's so weird.
Yeah, it's really strange. So, OmniGamer presents all this really valid, just empirical data that just can't be argued. There's no way to argue it. And sure enough, all these motherfuckers on the leaderboard and like the referees and stuff that know Todd Rogers are defending him and saying, well, he does something a computer can't, and he shifts at a specific time. And it's like, yeah, but there's no room for it. There's no time to squeeze it in. And so he just kept perpetuating this story until they finally made him try to prove it live. And Twin Galaxies did actually end up banning Todd Rogers, which surprised me, but it was too late. Like they lost their credibility long before that anyway. So it's just really absurd.
Is Twin Galaxies still in Denver?
I don't know. They used to be above the 1UP. I'm not sure.
Well, and then I believe the owners of 1UP bought Twin Galaxies.
Huh.
But I don't know if that's still the case.
What I remembered, at least.
Yeah, I actually wasn't sure where they were located. It's interesting to me. But
I think they're still here.
That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, we all probably saw King of Kong.
Of course.
And when you're watching Billy Mitchell and some others, it was just kind of like, man, this seems kind of scummy and stuff. I mean, it just never sounded good. I mean, like there's so many things even in just that document, and it's a documentary. I mean, things can be skewed or whatever, but it was just like, this seems really fishy, a lot of that stuff. And it just for it to come to light now is kind of cool. I mean, like I met Billy Mitchell once. I was like, if nothing else, this is like the guy that beat Pac-Man. It's like, there's a picture of me like shaking his hand. It's like, like love him or hate him, like he's kind of a terrible like personality, I suppose. But like, he did some pretty awesome shit. Did he though? Now it's kind of like, did he even do anything good? I don't know.
I've heard people say that some of this, like his early Pac-Man stuff, is legitimate.
That's good.
So like, he is good. He was good at video games, and he did have some like clout for good reason. But then he just got carried away with MAME splicing. So like the reason they ended up busting him finally, like people thought for a long time, like Wes Copeland, like he was the king of Kong after a while. He had the record, and I've heard him say lots of shit about Billy Mitchell on stream, which I'm not gonna like repeat and put words in his mouth. But I know that a lot of him and a lot of other guys seem to think Billy Mitchell was a cheater. And what they did to prove it recently, like, he like submitted that tape. Oh, here's all of a sudden like this record, the MAME works differently with that game than the actual, original cabinet does. Yeah. The way the screen loads is it comes in phases. Like if you slow it down a lot, you can see like each piece being built basically, but there's a discrepancy between MAME and between the cabinet. And you can see that in his tape. It's actually just MAME hardware. And MAME acts completely differently. You get different patterns, you get luckier patterns, you get easier setups to get points, so you know what's going to happen where it's like less randomized, if I understand correctly, which kind of bleeds over into speedrunning too. People will use save states. When you make save states, you're going to get all these patterns you recognize. So he was doing that back in the day. I mean, I think splicing would have been really fucking hard back then. He may as well have just put in the work and tried to get the legitimate runs. Yeah. But I don't know. He would mail in these tapes that were just spliced runs, and so like he's under scrutiny right now. I don't know I'm not sure if he got banned yet or not, but I think he'll probably end up getting banned from Twin Galaxy in the end too.
Yeah, probably. Well, I think definitely there was some that were under dispute, and I mean, even in like the King of Kong, like you probably remember that bit where he had sent in the tape and it got glitchy. Like the tape, it had the banding over the top, and it like all of a sudden the score was different, and like there's like like a little bit where like Walter Day's like calling him and like, hey, about that tape and stuff. So yeah, no, that was kind of
well. The funny thing is, a lot of the stuff that got verified for Billy Mitchell got verified by Todd Rogers himself.
So I mean, yeah, that changes everything. Yeah, totally.
Right. So the credibility factor is pretty down the drain overall.
That sucks.
It really does suck because it's just like I mean, they're good players. I mean, there's really no doubt about that. But it's just like, why would you fake it? Just fucking do it right or don't do it. I don't know. I don't understand that.
They end up writing on their roles. They're like, well, I'm good enough to have done it, so why not just do it faster? Like instead of putting in the work, because it would happen anyway. That's kind of that mindset that I've seen a lot. It's like even in speedrunning, there's a really big name recently that got caught for cheating. EXO SDA. The SDA, that prefix or suffix rather, that those guys put on their names is because of Speed Demos Archive, which was kind of like where everybody submitted speedruns before speedrun.com came along. And I used to lurk on that page all the fucking time, and I saw EXO's name on there. Like he was a legend. Like they figured out his Super Meat Boy runs were spliced.
Right.
And I don't remember exactly how they figured that out, but
because it was like really the bandage girl, like she holds up her arms for 20 frames and then down for 20 frames, and then the splits were jacked up. Yeah, I just saw that.
Yes, so the split they were able to catch the frame distance, which I don't know how that shit happens on YouTube.
People are just insane. Basically, what this comes down to is like people are fucking super sleuths to figure this shit out.
Yeah, and it's great because all these cheaters get fucking called out, and it's amazing. And it just goes to show you can never be too careful. Like, you don't want to be completely paranoid and just start like rejecting people's runs. Yeah. But so because of that, then people were like, "Well, shit, are his other runs legitimate?"
Right.
And then people started looking at his Ninja Gaiden run. That was one of the legendary runs. He was still third place on the leaderboard for a long time. And he had an 1150, and he beat it on Virtual Console, which actually runs at a different frame rate. So technically, if you were to calculate it, his run was faster than 50. It would have been second place. But regardless, he fucking cheated, so it didn't matter because there's a cutscene in that game that happens. I think if most people remember the music in Ninja Gaiden on stage 4-1 that But anyway, like right after that stage, there's a cutscene on top of a precipice, and like you see Ryu standing there, and you have to skip that cutscene by mashing start. It looked weird on his run, like you could tell that he didn't really skip it; he just spliced it there. That was like a cut. And he didn't apologize even. He just gave out this thing like making excuses. I read the whole post on Twitter a long time, like a little ways back. But instead of just apologizing, saying, "Yeah, I cheated, I fucked up," he made up all these excuses. He was like, "My PC wasn't working well, and it would run and only record for like 5 minutes at a time."
Right.
He's like, "So I just recorded sections and put it together,"
which is splicing. But
it's just splice. He was like, "Well, I was good enough to do it anyway," which he probably was.
Yeah.
But I mean, speaking from experience, I know what it's like to grind for like a good time in a game. It's not the same thing. It's not the fucking same.
Right.
You have to adapt, and you have to do the whole goddamn run in one go, and you have to hope everything goes well.
If you fuck up, you're doing it over.
Right. By splicing, you're giving yourself an opportunity to have good patterns. And if you watch his run, if you can still find it somewhere, it's probably gone everywhere. But he gets lucky. If you know Ninja Gaiden well and know how the speedrun works, which I did run that game, so I know how it works. He gets good patterns all the way through the fucking run. And it makes no sense for him too. So
I mean, with enough time, if everyone could just use save states at every moment, I mean, you'll eventually be able to make a perfect run. So it's not as impressive as being able to go through solid like that. So hopefully this is really a deterrent to like stop that behavior from happening, because it's just like, how good could you really feel if you faked that shit anyway? You know what I mean?
Right. What's the point? And I think I still see runs on the Contra board get submitted where I have to talk to the other moderators and we're like, fuck, is it like legitimate? We're not sure. We have to look at it a bunch and figure it out. Sometimes new people just like don't pay attention to the rules.
Right.
Like we'll see turbo runs submitted a lot. You can't use turbo in Contra. We don't allow it because it gives you an advantage on boss fights.
Yeah.
But so we saw a guy just submit a run the other day where he was like jumping up a bunch and shooting off the screen, and just the rhythm of the sound of it was so fast. Obviously turbo, so we had to tell them like, hey dude, you have to reject your run, you're using turbo. But yeah, I don't know, even to this day people still, even on the Metroid leaderboard recently, somebody tried to submit runs where they like completely fucking cheated and did things that were like tasks only, like a human can't even. There's like this crate kill where it's like every fourth frame or something you have to fire, and they did this kill. Like you can't humanly fire on every fourth frame for 96 shots in a row. Because it stun locks Kraid, but it's not humanly possible. And this person literally submitted a run with that in it and tried to pass it off as a humanistic thing that could be done. So it's wild what people think they can get away with.
Yeah. If you hear any chuckling coming from this side, it's because Andrew's dog Bowser is just like, he's not even acting like a dog. He's doing like this weird, he's like this big lanky old man. He's just like trying to circle the pillow.
You know how dogs make circles before they lay down?
Yeah.
He's been circling for like 5 minutes.
He just can't find it.
He can't get it right.
He's like, I can't get this pillow the way I want it. He just laid down.
And that's the thing, like, you know why dogs do that? It's like back from their like ancestry when they would like wind tall grasses up into a nest. He's like, oh, there's probably tall grass here.
I'm not even kidding. I sent my wife a picture of him circling 4 minutes ago, and he literally just now laid down.
Jesus, man.
I hope he's comfortable. He's looking at us kind of like, what the fuck, guys? What's the problem?
Like, what's...
Yeah. Looking at you like, what the fuck's the problem? I'm really sorry. Okay.
Seriously, look on his face.
My dog Carl used to do that.
He knows we're talking
He's
about
the cover of the podcast right now.
Oh, he just stood up again. Dude, now he's circling.
Is he circling?
He's
circling again.
Damn.
Puppy.
You gotta get him a new pillow.
That spot wasn't working.
He's got like the most. Got the most luxurious bed. Holy shit!
Yeah. So like, I built this little bench thing with like, it's got like memory foam, like 6 inches of memory foam on top of it to sit on, and that's what he can't get comfortable on.
What?
Damn, that sounds better than my bed, man.
Yeah,
it's really impressive.
It's not for him. It's for us to sit in and read while the kids are watching movies. But he decided that's his bed right now.
There's probably tall grass here. Gotta curl up in it. Wow. Sorry. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's like kind of back to what I was saying before, like what's real? Like it's so difficult to tell now. I mean, people are pretty clever. I don't know if you saw the videos I saw, because what you were talking about, I had seen like a collection of stuff by Apollo. What the heck's his name?
Oh, yeah. Apollo. I forget the...
Yeah, I was watching a bunch of his stuff and like... No, but he was looking at people's stuff in Audacity, I think it was, and you could tell that an edit had happened just because this tiny little fracture in like the waveform where someone had made a cut. And that's really crazy. So it's cool that you can see that stuff. But he also submitted one where he did a fake run of Ocarina of Time to something, and it was able to get through. So he was kind of trying to prove like how easy is it to fake these things and stuff.
That's a whole nother situation that's really been something that's bothered me lately.
Yeah.
Speedrun.com, the way it works, it's kind of newer in a way. Every game community has its own moderator. And I don't know how it's necessarily determined that certain people become moderators. I've seen moderators that don't even run the game on the leaderboard in charge of it. And sometimes that's good, sometimes it's bad. Like some people have like run enough games that in general, if they're on a leaderboard, you're like, okay, I trust that person. But other times I'm like, I don't know who the fuck that guy is. Yeah. And he just verified a run willy-nilly. Like, oh yeah, that run's fine, which is probably why his run got through. Yeah, it's interesting. And when I first started speedrunning, I submitted a Ninja Gaiden run myself. And at the time, there was no verification process. I was just allowed to put my run up and claim. So it's got a lot of work still to do. Like,
I think a lot of runs now are done live, aren't they?
Yeah, so that's important too. If you see a run suddenly submitted and it's like offline and it's an emulator run and out of nowhere they just have a world record, chances are they fucking cheated. Yeah. But you got to watch it still and make sure. But yeah, so that's the advantage. I stream on Twitch, and most other people do as well, those speedrun games or submit anything to leaderboards. And by doing that, you're building up your credibility because people are watching you, they're seeing your progress. People watched me play Contra for a year and a half straight. I went from having like an 1104 to now having a 953. They watched my progress over a year and a half, and just increasing my PB times, or decreasing rather. So that helps a lot. And plus, I'm not very tech savvy, so I wouldn't even know how to fucking cheat. And everybody knows that about me.
That adds your credibility.
Yeah, my screen looks like shit, and I don't know what I'm doing, but they're gonna watch me play Contra, so it's cool.
That's awesome. By the way, I did look it up. The Dark Souls no-hit run was 9.5 hours.
God damn.
All 3 games.
That's pretty short for the 3 games.
Yeah.
Shit's
that's nuts.
I just remember we missed one really big video game myth and urban legend. Polybus.
I have that. Yeah.
Whatever.
Polybius?
Yeah, that should. Yeah, Polybius.
Was that the government game?
Yep.
Yeah.
The alleged government game.
Yeah, that gave people seizures.
Yep.
I don't know if I know that one.
Yeah, it's like Cosby. So it was like a black box arcade unit that had nothing on it.
It like gave people like people would seizures. Play it, and they would get seizures and like insane.
Some people
nightmares.
died. I thought, but it was
pretty much. It was like it like after playing it, a lot of people ended up with like suicidal tendencies.
Right. There you go. And it was like all kinds of subliminal shit supposedly put together by this company whose name was it was like from Denmark or something, I can't remember. But like what it meant was like sensory deprivation or something like that. And then there would be people from the FBI would show up in suits and they would record data from it or something like that. So it turns out the whole thing's totally fake, but it's pieced together with pieces of truth because people have died playing video games. I mean, even like a couple years recently, doing like a really long marathon session, that can happen. I mean, you put a lot of stress on the body, that just can happen. Kid had a heart attack playing Berserk back in the day. I mean, he was playing a Berserk marathon. He had a heart attack. He was young. That happened not too long ago. People doing the marathons for charity, stuff like that.
They stay up way too long. They get sleep deprivation. They get dehydrated.
Yep.
These speed runners that like try to beat Contra scores.
Hey, whoa, don't! Hey, bad omen. But those kinds of things can happen. So I was pieced together from a little bit of truth there, but also like the men in suits showing up. I mean, I guess arcades used to be kind of seedy places anyway, and so you got people with a lot of drugs and shit like that. So there really was some truth to it. But like the Polybius, there's like no recorded. I mean, it was supposed to be some kind of like what was that game? Tempest. It was kind of like Tempest. Was like what it was supposed to be, and there's really no facts.
So
to
the game
back up
doesn't
anything.
actually even exist.
The game doesn't.
No,
actually
apparently
exist.
the myth was created in the year 2000. So that's
crazy.
when
okay.
Yeah, and then it kind of just spread from there. It was like one of the first creepypastas.
Yeah, right. Yep.
The Slender Man game.
Yeah, oh, dude.
man,
I've played that game.
I think are there like a shitload of them?
Yeah, I played the original one that they came out with. That was like the 12 notes or something. I played it for Agents of Geek a while. Like, gosh, it's been like 2 years now. But yeah, that game is kind of weird.
I played
real
it too,
shitty.
Yeah. All of a sudden it's there and then TV static.
If I was a child still, I would definitely be scared. Because, as I mentioned earlier, I was literally the most scared child ever. Like
I don't know, man. I could give you a run. Like
Really?
so this is how scared I was when I was like 6-7 years old. I had like a little stuffed dog that I don't know, was super attached to, and I was so scared of ghosts that I had determined that I must sleep with the covers over my head, and like I would peek out like a tiny little hole, like a little breathing hole, basically. And I had like this little stuffed dog that I was convinced would protect me, so I'd always hold that really close. And I also was convinced that once the lights went out, I couldn't move. If I moved, the ghost would know I was under the covers.
Ugh.
And so I was basically paralyzed with fear every night when I went to sleep.
That does suck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had like a weird
that lasted till I was like 28 years old.
Jesus Christ.
I hope not.
My dad was actually just making fun of me about this while we were streaming Madden, which is really embarrassing because he was like,
"Hey, internet,
yeah." He was
here's
like,
a naked picture of my boy."
Yeah, I remember the moment you found out about death because of Snow White, and you were immediately terrified, and then all you thought about was the end of the world. It's like, yeah, I was a very anxious, scared child. Like, do something about that. Why didn't you do something? Why didn't you tell me, like, you know what? Don't worry about that kind of stuff. Instead, you just let me worry about it until the year 2012 when I was still terrified that it was going to happen.
Here's some pills. Chill out.
Exactly. I was I was a wreck. I was the most anxious, most anxiety-ridden child alive.
Oh, no.
And then at some point, I became very, very concerned about alien abductions.
Did you?
Oh, dude. Yeah, me too.
And it was like the same thing. Like, I had like my bed was like right next to my window, and I had to like close the blinds in such a way that if they were looking down on me, they couldn't see me. And then I also would do the same thing where I would like lay in bed, facing away from the window with the covers over my head, so that I'd hold still so that if they were watching me, they wouldn't be able to see that I was there because I wasn't moving.
Oh man.
Man,
yeah,
yeah.
after the whole Phoenix incident, oh man, yeah, that ruled my life.
I don't know that.
So the Phoenix incident,
Nope.
there's okay, so basically it was there was a day in Phoenix where just several lights in the sky appeared in a triangle, and it's still unexplained. Nobody knows what the hell happened, but again, probably urban legends. Some people went missing around that time, and it just became a huge thing.
Yeah, I've seen the video of that. It is actually really crazy.
Have you seen the movie The Phoenix Incident? Because I interviewed the guy who directed that. He actually started his career helping with Call of Duty. He helped direct all the war scenes in Call of Duty games, basically. But he made this faux documentary called The Phoenix Incident, which is all about the stories of the people who went missing and all this other stuff. I guess he lived in Phoenix when it happened. He was telling me about it, and that it did actually happen, but what came of it is up to whatever you believe.
I remember those videos. Those were they were weird.
They were weird. So yeah, I was very scared child. So anything like that terrified me to no end.
Yeah, I feel like that happened around the time I was scared about alien abductions. I feel like when did that happen?
I believe it was 1996 or something like that. 95.
I would have guessed earlier than that, but not by a lot.
Yeah, maybe it could have been. I just remember being very young, and I remember, I don't know, all that kind of time kind of blends together for me sometimes. 'Cause, I'll remember something. I always attach myself to really weird events, like the Olympics in Atlanta. I'm just oh yeah, that happened, and there was a bombing there. Marissa's what? What do you remember that?
The internet says 97, so maybe that wasn't
97?
When I was scared. Because that was when I was 16 years old, and that wasn't a thing anymore when I was 16.
Man, even up till clearly, even up till 2012, I was very, very scared.
Well,
did you guys ever read any of those Stranger Than Fiction or Beyond Belief books?
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, those scared the fuck out of me. Fifth and sixth grade, I'd read those before going to bed for some reason. What the fuck was I thinking? And so I was always worried there was aliens outside my window.
My wife and
I was going to spontaneously combust.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
My wife and I were just talking about that recently. But remember the show Unsolved Mysteries?
Yeah.
Dude,
Oh yeah, that show was. My parents would watch that.
I watched the shit out of that,
and that shit scared the shit out of me.
That shit, yeah, that shit was so scary.
The goddamn music didn't help.
Yeah.
No.
Nerve-wracking.
It really was.
I love that show.
I actually heard a really funny, because you can watch those on Netflix now.
Oh, cool.
Oh, nice. That's actually where we saw it, and that's why we had this conversation, because we're remember Unsolved Mysteries? We watched Unsolved
Oh man, yeah. So there's an episode where this guy he totally kills his mother. Is basically what it is, but he tries to play it off, and they're doing these reenactments. He decides to be himself, reenacting the murder that he committed.
Whoa, that's insane.
Yeah, and nobody knew until years later, but they're yeah, dude, this guy totally murdered his mom, and claims oh yeah, she just didn't show up to my wedding, and then he reenacted it.
Whoa.
Wow, that's insane.
Creepy shit.
Yeah, totally.
Well, I guess it's time to wrap up this very special Halloween episode. Oh, I mean, what are we talking about?
I think we spent more time on getting derailed and talking about random shit.
And basically how fucked up we all are is kind of what I get.
It was very therapeutic.
Yeah. I laid out on the couch at one point and just kind of told you about my childhood.
Yeah.
We talked about, Polybius was another one on my list. We talked about Nude Tomb Raider. Shooting the Duck Hunt Dog, which was kind of an interesting one for me. Because I remember as a kid, it was people were saying you could do that. And I'm I feel like you can do that. And you never really could. But what I was remembering when I went to Showbiz Pizza back in the day before it was Chuck E. Cheese, they actually had a Duck Hunt arcade cabinet, and you could actually shoot him during the bonus round, and he would like in typical cartoon fashion, like he'd get his face like blasted and his face would be all smoky, and then like he would actually have like crutches and a broken leg.
Oh, wow.
And the cast, and he'd be like, oh, because he got shot. It was pretty adorable. So it's actually true for the arcade version, but not true for the NES version that everyone talked about. Everyone wanted to shoot that dog because he laughs at you. Fuck that dog.
Yeah, he's always laughing.
Fucker.
Man, what a dick.
But the last thing that I kind of wanted to talk about was Banjo-Kazooie, because that shit fucking consumed me. Like, so when you beat Banjo-Kazooie, if you beat everything in the game, I think it's like 100 jiggies or whatever it is, getting jiggy with it. You get to the end and it actually tells you about stuff that I found some of us in the game. There's like special eggs and there's an ice key. So if you go into like this wintry level, I can't remember what it's called. There's like these bears or whatever. You go into a room, you can see through a sheet of ice. You can see a spinning ice key. And I was like, how the fuck do you get I did everything I could to try to get to every single move to try to get through there. There's no way to get through it. And when you beat the game, they'll tell you, oh, hey, by the way, there's like these special things. Like in this tomb, there's some shit. And over here, remember this ice key? You'll find out in the next game, Banjo-Tooie. I'm like, ah, shit. So when Banjo-Tooie came out, they had plans for something called Stop and Swap, where you could actually stop the game, swap out the Banjo-Kazooie cartridge or vice versa for the Banjo-Tooie, I probably fucked that up, cartridge. And it would read the data from both, and then you would be able to actually access that. So there was like some great payoff that there was supposed to be in there. And I can't remember what some of the rumors were or whatever, but ultimately they couldn't do it because in like the late 90s versions of the Nintendo 64, there was like a period of like 10 seconds where you would turn off the game and it would still be kind of live for some reason. And you could actually swap out the cartridges. But then for the late 90s editions, I don't know why, they shortened that from 10 seconds to 1 second, making it impractical to swap out the cartridges. So they ended up scrapping that when they got to Banjo-Tooie or something like that. So they kept talking about, we're going to do this stop and swap thing. Like there was always teasers for it. Like there was a game in like 2004 or 2003, Grabbed by the Ghoulies or some shit, where they kind of referenced stop and swap, which was the whole idea. And then they finally, when it came out on Xbox Live Arcade with Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie, they said it will be intact. We'll finally have the ability to do stop and swap. And I don't think they actually did it. I was trying to read through all this information. And eventually, like, I think what it became was you could buy Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, which is like the so-so racing game is what I've heard. I haven't played it.
Yeah.
But you could actually use the data from those games to like get special items for your cars or something.
Wow, they really fucked that up, didn't they?
Really
yeah, seriously.
If my understanding is correct, that's what it ended up being, because there was supposed to be like Kazooie would turn into a fucking dragon was one of the things. Like there was like a devil bottles or something like that. All kinds of shit that was like these really cool things. Like, because I talked about it earlier, what kind of incentives can you have in a game? It's like this extra shit that makes it more fun to play or something, you know, like maybe it'd be more fun to play through the game with Kazooie as a dragon, or you've got special abilities for Banjo or whatever. But if it's like you've already beaten the game, you know, you've got to have motivation to really want to play it some more. I had these grand ideas in my head for like, wow, what happens when you get that key, or when you can access this area, or you get these special eggs or something like that. And then it's just like, oh, it's just some shit for your car. Here's some fuzzy dice. I think that was really where they went with it. So that was a real big letdown.
That is a letdown. Actually, you talking about that reminded me of something that a senior in high school fucked me over with, which I don't know if is actually true still. Yeah. More trauma. He always told me, because I really wanted a modded PS1, but I didn't want to mod my PS1 and fuck it up. So he told me that, you know, if I just start playing a game and then swap the discs, I could play a PAL game. I don't know if you could do that or not. Is that shit real?
I don't know if they bothered with like lockout chips anymore at that point. You know, like once systems reached a certain age, they kind of didn't worry about but I don't know how that works with. Because I know with the newer systems, it doesn't matter at all now. You can just play them no matter where you are. But I don't know if PlayStation was the cutoff for that or not. have no
Because
idea.
I know, like, he convinced me to buy Dragon Ball GT off of him, a burned copy, and it did not work for shit on my PS1. But I didn't ever know if I was just doing something wrong or if
maybe that's
I
probably
got
still
swindled.
when the regional differences mattered, perhaps. I would
I
think.
feel like
but
they still
I
had
can't-
region locking in the PS2 even.
Yeah,
they did.
Yeah,
so-
they did.
yeah. I think he got swindled.
But some of them PS4, I don't think they have any.
No,
region
there's no
now.
region
It's
lock.
pretty awesome that they've gotten rid of that because that was a huge deal.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, they still do bullshit like on the Switch. There's like downloadable games that are only available in certain regions, but it's very easy. Like if you want to download a game that's only available in Japan, I think you can actually literally make a profile on your Switch that says it's from Japan, and then you can use that one to download it. Yeah,
That's really cool.
So it's really easy to get around it.
Yeah.
Gotta give myself a Switch.
Switch. I remember breaking off the tabs in my Super Nintendo so you could play Super Famicom games.
Yeah, I definitely did that to
I
mine.
broke it. Shit doesn't work anymore.
Oh, damn.
I think that's why. Yeah.
That sucks.
It does suck.
I did it. I took a different route with that. I didn't actually like go in and cut them completely out. I just like filed them down. That way they're still kind of there, but the games fit. And I didn't want to break anything out. I felt weird about it. So.
It doesn't turn on anymore. It's fucked.
Oh.
I don't know if that's why, but it's really old. I played the shit out of it. So maybe that's why. But
you should check and see if it's just your power supply. Just
I did try different power supplies. And shit is
Bummer.
like the red light will sometimes just turn on really quick and it just doesn't stay on.
Damn.
So, yeah.
That sucks.
Oh well, I mean it's basically yellow anymore anyway. So.
Yeah.
I have a million ways to play Super Nintendo games nowadays, so I'm good. Do you guys have anything else before we go on to question time?
Nope.
Not that I can think of.
Question time. It's not right. It's question time. I mean, Andrew almost visibly did an eye roll when I did that. But, so our first one here comes from Dusty B. How to unlock Sheng Long. Isn't that Mortal Kombat?
Yeah, I think it's Mortal Kombat.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, in the Mortal Kombat 2, that was a character. No, Shang Tsung.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Sheng Long. I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't
remember
I think
that
they
one.
mean Shang Tsung.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
Tomb Raider has a nude code. We talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
And spoilers, guys. I think we already talked about this. There's a way to revive Eris in Final Fantasy VII, which that was like the big first spoiler. I remember avoid this spoiler, but that definitely came up before I got to Final Fantasy VII. I got to that point because I tried to play it through so many times, and when I finally got to it, I was like, I already know she was gonna die and shit. So end spoilers. Those were the top myths that he heard on the playground back in the day. Finding the dark scimitar. Is that how you say that? Scimitar, right?
Oh yeah.
Scimitar and Lunar 2.
I played Lunar a little bit.
/ EBC? I don't know what that is. Still evades me to this day. Curse you, Gaijin Works. Smiley face. I will say, I remember in Lunar 1, I have this crazy
Lunar was Sega CD, right?
No, Lunar 2 was on
the first Lunar.
PS2. Yeah, the first one was Sega CD.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah. I'm kind of OCD when it comes to RPGs. I have to play them I talk to everybody. I try to open every chest. I try to open, I push A on everything or whatever, search for everything. And I wasn't disappointed once because I spent a shitload of time going through the first Lunar in PS1 on PlayStation 1. I mean, not technically the first, but the remake or whatever. And there's one point where you go into a town and you go to this kid's bed, and this is fucking bizarre. But you go up to the bed and you push the search button, and then the little dragon guy that's with you is like, a stick of butter and a rubber band. Better not tell his mom about this. I'm like, first of all, what are they implying, and what perverted shit is this?
Yeah, seriously, what?
The only thing I can think of is fucking a stick of butter and the rubber bands to keep the shape of a stick at butter. I don't know.
I have no idea, man.
Super messed, but that's really real. I mean, I know I saw that shit. I didn't make that up at 16. I was like, what the fuck?
Wait a minute, are you starting a new rumor? I think
I might have. If I did, then I'm fucked up, and I didn't even realize I made it up. Got one from this guy. What's his name? Rickety Rack? I don't know. RV? I don't know who the fuck this is. No. So Rick V, who popped in earlier, just sent a big old email about Maniac Mansion, Michael Jackson, nude codes, and some buttholes. I went to Mound Elementary in Burleson, Texas. Let's open up that email. Let's find out. He mentioned this shit is a big ass email, so let me find it. Do. Sometimes when I'm trying to kill time, I just do the Blue's Clues theme song. Anyway, I love Blue's Clues. All right, some myths. The lie that you can find gas for the chainsaw in Maniac Mansion. Did you guys play a lot of Maniac Mansion? I know I did.
Forever ago. I don't remember it at all. Really.
Yeah,
adventure game. That would totally not appeal to me. I was not about adventure games. But I remember there's something about putting point and click. Sorry, you could put a hamster in a microwave. I remember that was the thing. Maybe not on NES, but on computer. So I had friends in middle school that would make the cursor go over every section of the game just to find the gas that would never be there. The game developers would even hint to magazines that you could actually find it in the game. A couple years later, LucasArts released Zack McCracken and the Alien Mindbenders, and in that game you can find a can of gas that says for chainsaws only. That's pretty awesome. I did not know that. The Tomb Raider nude code, I believe you do a series of moves with Laura's mansion, with the last move making her end up in the pool. When she came out, she was supposed to be buck naked. I remember watching my friend Glenn trying this a million times, which actually there is no in-game code to make her nude. But then after going over in the internet,
there's a PC mod.
Exactly. People modded the shit out of it.
Mod.
Yep.
I remember the bucket mod the most.
I remember that though with the pool. I actually remember that where you had dive off of like a balcony into the pool at the end.
I remember that and locking the butler in the freezer. That's what I remember of Tomb Raider.
Huh.
I'm just trying to imagine the point of seeing Rock.
I know, and just these pointy
like triangle boobs.
Triangle boobs.
Like, why didn't you just go
she must be very excited.
At that point, really, yeah.
They don't turn into cubes. They turn into triangles.
Yeah, because she's 40, so they're triangles.
Yeah, they're hard.
Michael Jackson composed music for Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Apparently, this was gossiped about for a long time and was only recently confirmed to be true.
Yes.
Neat. Yes. That's really cool. I didn't know.
Yeah, you can actually hear it in some of the songs. You can hear like different cool. I think it's in like the circus theme stages. You can hear, gosh, I wish I could remember the song. I can't even remember lyrics. It be like, I have no idea.
Just another part of me.
You're just another part of me.
Yeah. Exactly. So yeah, you can hear that. You can hear that in the song.
He was uncredited, but it is apparently likely true.
That's insane.
Yeah, because towards the end, all the child molestation stuff started coming out, so they started rolling away from him. And
how did it get determined to be true? I think was there recently a tape discovered that had Sonic music on it or something?
Yeah, there's like tons of tapes and like pictures of him working in like Sega Studios doing everything.
Yeah. That's crazy.
When he died, actually, in his mansion, he had like an entire like Sega room where he had like a Sonic and all this stuff. Like it was clear like he had been some kind of involvement with Sega.
That's crazy.
Well, he was also did that Moonwalker game.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. There's another connection. The new Spyro game. Does anybody know who's doing the soundtrack? Is that still the drummer for the drummer for Police?
Really?
That did the original?
I had no idea.
I might be tripping on who did
what?
it. I want to. Yeah, the guy that did the original soundtrack for Spyro. He's like a legit,
musician.
Like, see, that's a shitty thing to say, legit musician.
I know.
But I mean, like, he's like in a popular band, is what I meant.
Yeah, for sure.
I want to say he was the drummer for the Police or some shit.
Huh.
That's crazy.
But yeah, he did that soundtrack, and I was wondering if he was doing the new one because his shit was great.
Yeah.
The kid in elementary school who said they had every Nintendo game. Oh man, that's the kid that had the
course.
Power Glove because it's so bad.
I love the Power Glove.
Lucas.
Yeah, Lucas. In my school, the kid's name was John Bridges. Once I quizzed him with what games he had. He said yes to every single game I mentioned. I decided to be sly and asked if he had Swamp Thing, knowing that it wasn't a real game. John said he had it, and I knew he was a goddamn liar. Later, I found out that actually was a Swamp Thing game, and it sucks.
It's a shitty NES game.
And then, little sub note here. John Bridges was still a goddamn liar. Rigby. He's a funny guy. Some lies my childhood friends told me. So Sean Meredith, who we're calling out real people with their full names. I did it too.
This is his phone number.
I looked after you. I looked after you. What? I looked up to you is what I meant to say. Sean Meredith told me there was a code in Mortal Kombat where you could play as Goro. He said you performed a fatality in front of Goro's statue and put it in a series of buttons. The statue would come to life and you could play as him. I tried this for an hour before I realized he was a goddamn liar. My very good friend Don Stockson, so this is a good thing, told me that at the last level of Sky Kid, you fight your girlfriend you are rescuing, and the hearts emitting from her head hurt you. Wow.
Huh.
I also got him into Maniac Mansion, and after I returned my rental, he ended up renting it. He said he beat the game by pulling everybody out of the house and blowing it up. I knew he was a goddamn liar, but I tried it anyway. Josh Adams, I think this kind of goes back to something that Johnny Ketchum was saying. Catching Mew in Pokemon Red and Blue. Now, was that actually true that you were able to catch him in Red and Blue?
No. As far as I know, no. The only way I got Mew was through being a fucking dork and playing trading card games and going to Toys R Us and them putting it on my Game Boy for me.
But weren't you able to get him in one of the games? Could you get him in green or something?
That's what I always heard, but I only had one friend who had green. And he couldn't read Japanese, so I don't know how well that went.
Okay, just curious. Okay.
Yeah.
Catching Mew in Pokemon Red and Blue, what I still mostly remember is you have to get to the SS and when your game reads 6 o'clock or something, and they'll let you go to the truck to find Mew. I later worked out that means getting there in 6 minutes game time. So not 6 o'clock, but 6 minutes game time. So
I can't remember if the original one actually has like an internal clock. I don't believe it does. So I feel like even that right there is bullshit. That was being told to him. I remember there was a couple different things, there was that, but then what you kind of stumbled upon was missing no, because it was like, oh, you do the SSN thing, you move on to this truck and you try and, get a fight around the truck, which there's no grass there. So you're not going to get into an actual fight unless you decide to use the swim trick, which then just leads you to missing no.
Yeah, because I remember a buddy of mine actually was able to get the missing numbers guy or whatever.
Yeah.
And it could glitch out your game and really fuck it up.
Oh, it completely fucks it up.
Yeah.
Like actually, like because it like in a way you can get like it's kind of nice because if you have like say you have 10 rare candies in your possession, you don't lose those 10. You can just continuously, give them to all your Pokemon. And this was a trick I feel like was used a lot with Pokemon Stadium because you can transfer all those Pokemon onto Pokemon Stadium, then completely do away with your Game Boy game and restart a new game, transfer all those Pokemon back. Now you're at level 99 with all your Pokemon. And the game works perfectly fine again.
Crazy.
Yeah, so, I did that a couple times.
But Mew and Mewtwo, what games can you legitimately get them in?
As far as I know, it's always just given to you. Even in the newer games, Mew has been gifted to people through codes and stuff. But I don't know any legit way you can get Mew besides with a modded game or something.
Interesting. See, I didn't really know that. Yeah. I kind of figured it was something that I just hadn't dug enough into the game or something like that. But I mean, the movies referenced Mew and Mewtwo and stuff like that.
Yeah, which it's funny because before the movie, you didn't really know much about Mew, but we all knew there was another one.
Right.
So
151.
Yeah, so you're able to get Mewtwo, but that just his name being Mewtwo, you knew there was another. Right. So
it's funny because actually tomorrow I'm going with Brandon, my coworker Brandon downtown because in Pokemon Go, I got an invite to go try and catch Mewtwo. And then they just released the quests or whatever you want to call them, the missions and shit that you can do field research and special research so that you can get Mew. And some people on Discord have actually been bitching. I didn't catch Mew, which would really be devastating because you only get one chance to get him. And someone else is like, I got one, but he's really whack. It's like he's really shitty. I'd just be glad I got one, So that's
me too. I would just be like, hey, his cutie ass is here. That's so good enough for me.
He's in Pokemon Snap.
Yeah.
You can get him that way. We got Jerry92602. He's on the other podcast online.
He doesn't exist. He's not a real person.
Shit ain't real.
Akuma in Resident Evil 2. There's in-game screenshots out there. Sonic. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
So I'm sorry, but to bring that back, that was actually perpetuated from the same magazine, PSN. They just put him in there.
Was that an April Fool's joke?
It was an April Fool's joke.
Motherfuckers. Sonic and Toad in Smash Brothers Melee. There's in-game screenshots out there. Sonic and Toad's in Smash Brothers Melee. That's a bit early for Sonic to be in there, I think.
Right.
But definitely Toad, I guess I could see.
Yeah.
I think the Akuma thing was in EGM for April Fools.
Oh, okay.
You were saying PSN or EGM. So one of them.
One of them, yeah.
April Fools and as well as Sonic. Goku from Dragon Ball and Smash. Can't think of any others. I could see that happen. Maybe in the next Smash, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe. I mean, they've pulled so many different freaking licenses across the board.
Yeah, man. I mean, Cloud's in Smash. Like, why not?
Yeah.
My biggest complaint about a character not being in those games is Simon fucking Belmont.
Oh,
dude, yeah, of course. There's like a couple like there? Or like
Goemon.
I would like to see Goemon would be cool. Mike Jones would be cool.
Mike Jones. Oh, not that Mike Jones. Okay.
I think you really need to put
Star Tropics.
Bad dudes in there.
Yeah.
Bad dude.
No, you know what? Fuck it.
Let's
Just
have
put
a
in
hamburger.
Ronald Reagan.
Yeah, Ronald Reagan.
Let's get a burger.
He just throws burgers. He's the ultimate character, man. Shit.
So many. Yeah, there's so many characters that should be in Smash that are not.
Yeah. No, they had that voting thing. That was pretty sweet.
I don't care too much for Squid Kids. I'd rather see like other characters.
Yeah, I just tried it for the first time tonight, and I played Squid-tastic 2, whatever it's called. And I just can't play it. I'm just not good at it.
Yeah.
Well, I think the problem is that everybody else is very good at it.
Yeah.
I get trashed in that game
it's
too.
Interesting, but I just don't think it's for me.
It sucks because I feel like that's how it goes with a lot of those online games. Like even if you start something right away, it's just like, oh shit, there's people that are 1,000 times better than you.
Oh man, they have no jobs and they spend all day playing this, and I'll never get better than them.
Yeah, because most of the time they're fucking kids.
Fucking kids? What the shit? What are you, 12? Oh, you're 12. Okay, sorry. And you
it's like, wait, why aren't your ass at school? Like, god damn it.
Actually, that's a valid question. Yeah. Cool. I guess we'll leave it at that. This has been a podcast, and I'm sorry about it. You just got April fooled. I don't know. I love you.
I love you, sir.
The end. Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. No
Sorry
problem.
about the delays and the freaking horrible technical problems.
Nah, no worries.
It's the weekend, you know.
Yeah, I guess that's
It's
true.
the freaking weekend.
It's the freaking weekend, baby. We're about to get that drip pee.
I wanna pee on you. Drip, drip, drip. Pee on you. It's on you. It's on you.
I'm gonna pee on you. Drip, drip, drip. All right.
Little coffee, honey graham, golden graham.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying I want to do it. I'm just saying if someone dared me, no monetary value involved, I'd be like, all right, I'll drink that pee. Gross. Yuck. All right. Well, on that note, I'm gross.
For
Cool. Thanks a
sure.
lot, guys.
Yeah, no problem. Talk to you later.
All right.
Have a good night, everyone.
You too. Saying that, but I can't stop.
I give you credit for fitting that one in.
Yeah. And speaking of fitting that one in
You
there,
skipped Yeti.
Long man. Well, I was gonna make a joke if I skipped. Yeah, it's a bad joke. I'm sorry.
Well, just cut that on
this
the
one's-
podcast and pretend like it didn't.
No, we're gonna leave it. That's too much editing.
We got
Hey,
a
Rick's
lurker.
here.
We got a lurker in the chat, man.
Oh, how does that even happen?
Somebody's jumped
God, Rick V. That guy's the worst. If he wanted to say something, he should do it now.
Or forever hold my peace.
What's going on, man?
Oh, I just got back from the show, and I was like, I wonder if they're still doing
Fuck
that.
yeah, man. Sweet. Okay,
Oh,
we'd
yeah.
like to welcome Rick V.
Mid-show intro.
Yeah, Mintro.
Woo! Nah.
So, by the way, Rick V, would you like to give yourself an introduction?
What? I'm just listening, man.
Oh, okay. Okay, you're not on this podcast?
Nah, I don't think I need to be on this podcast.
I think you do.
Jeez,
Where you
just
at?
Jumped in here to waste your time, huh?
Really? I thought it'd be funny, and then you guys were talking. And I was like, "Oh, this is interesting. I want to hear about this NBA champ thing."
You get to hear the uncut edition.
Oh, baby, the version I get to cut later.
We already talked about.
Yeah.
We talked about penises extensively.
Yep, and drink and pee. So, enjoy that. Yeah, actually, Rick V will be doing the rough edit on this one. He said
nice.
Yeah, so that's very nice of him.
I see Eric.
I hear you.
Hey.
Oh,
That.
Thank Christ. Okay, what did you say?
That.
What?
I just said you did that.
You bad
You
act?
did that.
You didn't.
Oh, I did that. Oh, okay. Is that a room reference or something?
Nah, I'm not really. I mean, it's a Tommy voice, but I don't think it's.
You did that.
You did that.
We were just talking about that. Andrew's never. Well, I've seen parts of it. I can't say I've seen it either, but we were just saying he's never.
I gotta send
never
you
seen
guys. I gotta just send you guys my copy.
The original Room, you mean, or like the new movie?
The original. I want to see the new one too, though. But yeah, I started watching the original, and it was quite difficult to watch.
It is.
It is. It leaves you feeling.
Wait, new one? Did they remade it?
No, the
No, it's
Disaster
the Disaster Artist.
Oh, gotcha.
We were watching Japanese commercials about gum.
and long penis.
Well, I mean that's implied.
Oh, is it one of
suppose,
those gums that gives you a long penis?
Oh well,
Yeah.
if such a thing existed, I mean.
Wasn't
Do
there
you
a
have
gum?
to chew the gum? You chew it with your penis?
Right?
Oh man,
Wasn't there another
I
gum
kinda-
in Japan that was like, oh, it makes your breast bigger?
really?
Yeah, I feel like I've seen something like that before.
Wow, you could have the biggest boobs, biggest dick at the same
Too.
time.
Dude, that would be awesome.
And have great breath.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it's a nice side effect.
Hopefully, it's a summer gum.
Great breasts, great breath.
Are you sure it doesn't give you penis breath?
Well, no, you chew it with your penis, so
It makes
Which I-
your. Yeah, I don't even want to go there.
gotta like chew it like a penis flytrap.
You mean in the same way that you have peanut butter with jelly?
Hey, the same way you what?
You have peanut butter with jelly? You chew it with your penis?
Oh my god. Well, yeah, that's why I don't want chunky. No chunky peanuts.
So don't use Discord in the web browser, apparently.
Oh yeah, no,
Hmm.
I feel like it does not work that well on the web browser.
Sorry, I had to wait a long time.
It's been a
Yeah, it's unforgivable.
Okay, guys, sorry for the delay. Let's just hit it and put it.